Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. Sign in for 30 days, SS-level ghosts will suppress the world. Chapter 71. What did you say? Lu Pingchuan's complexion changed, and he was surprised when he heard this. He repeatedly confirmed 3 times before confirming the information of his assistant. Really back? Great. Contact Mr. Gentleman immediately. An excited look appeared in Lu Pingchuan's eyes. Chen Xuan's appearance at this time almost relieved his pressure by half. At least Chen Ruaoqing should have no problem here. Soon Lu Pingchuan came directly to the information center and asked the staff to connect Chen Xuan's phone. Soon, the phone was connected, and Chen Xuan's strange voice came from the other side. Any accident, Mr. Gentleman? There is no accident. Lu Pingchuan said in a low voice, it was our satellite positioning staff who discovered your mobile phone signal and actually appeared in Tian'an City. It is thousands of kilometers away from the former Yongling city, so I wanted to call to confirm. Single quote. I am indeed in Tian'an City. Chen Xuan did not deny it. Okay, Mr. Gentleman, do we need to send a special plane there now? Yes, you should know my position. Chen Xuan nodded. He has now strengthened himself in the Blood River Ghost domain, so that he can use the ability of Ghost Embroidered Shoes. But after all, it is not given by Chen Xuan's system, so if it is not necessary, he does not want to use this for the time being. Regarding the impact on the body, Chen Xuan feels that it is better to avoid the crisis, even if the crisis is bearable. On the other side, Hirakawa, who hung up the phone, immediately arranged a special plane to leave for Tian'an City to pick up Chen Xuan's return. However, the fastest round trip of this plane takes nearly 6 hours. This is still under the premise of the green light all the way. But before the special plane took off, news suddenly came from the airport, which made Lu Pingchuan instantly angry. What? Who told you to cancel? Lu Pingchuan roared into the phone. Do you know how much impact delaying things will have? Who has such great power to stop me from Lu Pingchuan's order? It's me. A somewhat cold voice suddenly sounded from not far away. When Lu Pingchuan turned his head sharply, he saw a middle-aged man with gray hair, wearing a military uniform, walking over. Vice Minister Wu Yi, you are from the strategy department, why do you care about my research department? When Lu Pingchuan saw Wu Yi, his heart sank, feeling that things were not that simple. Because your decision made a mistake, the above changed the strategy and let me take over Chen Ruaoqing's plan. What? You're taking over? Lu Pingchuan's expression changed, and he said quickly, no, I'm going to find the minister. No need. Wu Yi walked towards the laboratory on his own. The notice has been sent, Lu Hua will show him. The voice fell, and behind Wu Yi, a thin, pale man with slender fingers took out a piece of paper and handed it to Lu Pingchuan. Lu Pingchuan just glanced at him, and then set his eyes on Lu Hua and another man with sunglasses behind him. Lu Hua, Captain-level Ghost Master, codenamed Surgery Ghost. Another figure with sunglasses and a military uniform is the personal guard beside Wu Yi. He is known as a quasi-S-class ghost hunter, Han Guang, codenamed Gaihuo. Lu Hua is a top surgical talent and the first researcher of the military, although his reputation is slightly inferior to that of Dr. Luo Ji. But he is a powerful ghost hunter. And Han Guang, needless to say, codenamed Ghost Fire, the eyes under the sunglasses have long disappeared, and I heard that they were replaced by Ghost Fire. The other party has personally dealt with at least 3 A-level supernatural events. This time, Wu Yi actually brought both of them directly, obviously determined to take over each other. No, Wu Yi, Mr. Gentleman has already appeared in Tian'an City and will be back soon. Lu Pingchuan said coldly, if you rashly do something inappropriate to Chen Ruaoqing, it will definitely cause great waves. You can't bear the consequences at that time. When Wu Yi heard the words, he turned around and looked at Lu Pingchuan with a smile. Hee, Lu Pingchuan, do you think I'll be frightened by your alarmism? The above is because your approach is too soft, and you will be so dissatisfied. Quote. Wu Yi didn't even bother to talk to him, and stood directly at the door of Chen Ruaoqing's laboratory. Lu Hua, do it. Okay. A morbid smile appeared on the pale Lu Hua's face, and he walked in directly. Luo Ji turned his body sideways to make way for the other party, because no one knew Lu Hua better than him, a researcher who likes to dissect the human body. Lu Hua walked to the platform of the laboratory and looked at Chen Ruaoqing, who was lying there in a deep sleep. A sick smile appeared on his face. Oh, yes, a very perfect experimental specimen. Lu Hua's laughter made Lu Pingchuan frown. Wu Yi, you'd better think clearly. If the problem is serious, you can't afford it. Don't worry, Minister Lu, we won't do anything to her. Before Wu Yi could speak, Lu Hua's voice came out. I just want to take off these restraints from her body, especially the ghost hair. I need to study it carefully. While speaking, Lu Hua stretched out his white-gloved palm, and directly pulled off the upper glove. In an instant, two incomparably dark, rotten hands emerged. A strong corpse odor emanated from above, but a sick smile appeared on Lu Hua's face. He seems to be enjoying the taste very much. Come on, let me see how powerful this ghost hair is. As he said that, he moved his finger and appeared on Chen Ruaoking's head with extremely uncoordinated dexterity. Clap clap clap. 3 consecutive ghost head ropes were taken off. Losing the restraint of the 3 ghost head ropes, the ghost hair grew several times faster than before. But at this time, Lu Hua was not afraid of the ghost hair's recovery at all, but directly grabbed the black ghost hair. Immediately, a specter's ability was transmitted from his hands. It made the originally restless ghost hair tremble suddenly, as if it was suppressed by the ability. Effective. Outside Wu Yi smiled when he saw this scene. Lu Pingchuan, look, this level of specter suppression is easy. Next, Lu Hua will take off her ghost hair and imprison her to prepare for follow-up research. What? Take off the ghost hair? After hearing this, Lu Pingchuan's expression changed, and he quickly said, no, if you do this, Chen Ruaoking will die. Die, Wu Yi said nonchalantly, sacrificing 1 or 2 people may save more people. Isn't this kind of result taken for granted? That's not okay, Lu Pingchuan said decisively. If it was another ghost hunter, he probably wouldn't be so resolute, and the one standing behind Chen Ruaoking was a gentleman. That terrifying gentleman, even the captain-level ghost rider can't see the depth. Vice Minister Wu Yi turned a deaf ear to his blocking. At this moment, Lu Hua's hands started to pull up little by little. Under the suppression of his surgical ghost, he can peel off the ghost on the other side little by little. In this way, it is even possible for a ghost rider who is dying frequently to transfer his own ghost to another ordinary person, thus creating a new ghost rider. Although this kind of experiment is cruel, Lu Hua has tried it more than once. What? Suddenly, a scream came out of Chen Ruaoking's mouth, and in an instant, her closed eyes opened. However, in these eyes, there are no pupils, and they are full of whites. She didn't have Su Sheng, but forcibly stripping off the specter made her have a stress response. But Lu Hua not only paid no attention to it, on the contrary, he grasped the ghost hair and peeled it off faster. The look in his eyes was full of excitement. Call it, every improvement in research results will have a lot of sacrifices. Seeing this, Lu Pingchuan wanted to be stopped several times, but Han Guang, who was wearing sunglasses next to him, just stood there, the flames beating under the black sunglasses, exuding a miserable green color. It was just those breaths that made many ghost controllers in the headquarters dare not step forward. This is the power of the ghost realm. Once you step into it, you can even be instantly burned into a mummified corpse. What is even more terrifying is that the power of this kind of ghost fire can even come from the inside out, and it is almost impossible to guard against. With such a quasi-S-rank ghost hunter in charge, no one is sure that he can break through the opponent's line of defense. I can only watch Lu Hua's performance helplessly. At this moment, Dr. Luoji, who had been standing there, suddenly frowned. He looked at Lu Hua and said suddenly, Dr. Lu Hua, it is unlikely that you will succeed in peeling off by doing this, so I still recommend a milder solution. Moreover, the gentleman has already appeared in Tianan City. If he rushes back, I feel that no one can resist. Luoji glanced at Han Guang, who was wearing sunglasses, including this one. Oh, Jia, isn't that more valuable for research? The smile on Lu Hua's face became more intense, but the movements of his hands did not stop. He is a folk ghost hunter. According to the regulations of the state, shouldn't he cooperate with the investigation? If he fights back, wouldn't that amount to fighting the entire Ghost Rider headquarters? Lu Hua's words made Luoji stop reminding him, not because he didn't want to refute, but because he felt that it was unnecessary. Although in Luoji's head, the Ghost Rider itself is an existence that breaks the rules, especially an existence like a gentleman. No one answered. Lu Hua's operation continued. The screams became more and more intense, not like the screams of humans, but like the screams of ghosts. At the same time as Lu Hua's surgery, Chen Xuan, who was far away in Tianan City, was walking on the road. Passers-by kept passing by him, but they didn't see him at all. Chen Xuan looked down at his ghost windbreaker. There were still some fine cracks left on it. These cracks were formed when he was invaded by power in the Ghost River before. The ghost windbreaker of the A-level ghost cannot block the influence of the depths of the river. Therefore, Chen Xuan stopped the investigation. Now, he has signed in to get the ghost needle and thread, and is repairing the damaged clothes little by little. And also repaired, there is the spiritual power area of the windbreaker. Suddenly, his pupils shrank, and the aura around him changed. An extremely cold aura caused a gust of wind to blow around, and even many passers-by looked sideways and looked at the air next to them. Strange, so good, why is it so cold in here? It was fine just now, why did the breath suddenly become so unstable? A cold light flashed in Chen Xuan's eyes, and Tian Fen calmly analyzed. It stands to reason that even if it can't be suppressed, it will recover little by little, and it's impossible to suddenly be unable to suppress it. If this happens, there is only one possibility. Chen Xuan suddenly thought, external intervention. No matter who's doing it. In advance, why intervene? Chen Ruoqing's situation should not be very good now. Chen Xuan looked at the sky. The special plane didn't plan to wait any longer. If you wait a few more hours, I'm afraid there will be problems. Then, da-da, the footsteps sounded, and Chen Xuan's figure disappeared directly from a lively street in Tianan City. 5 minutes later, in the laboratory of the Ghost Rider's headquarters, the operation of the surgical ghost did not go well. After the ghost hair was stripped by Lu Hua by nearly a third, there was a very serious resistance. 0. The fluctuations of the ghost hair could not be suppressed even by his pair of ghost hands that suppress the power of the ghosts. Shouldn't be. Why does this specter feel like he is one with her? Lu Hua's shadowy face was filled with doubts, and his hands were still in a stalemate with the ghost hair. Although he is a ghost hunter, he has an unimaginable passion for research. Even so, he did not give up. Suddenly, he opened his mouth, and a rusted scalpel spit out from his mouth. This is the ghost scalpel, which was obtained the same as the surgical ghost, which is equivalent to the second specter controlled by Lu Hua. Since you don't want to come down, then I'll cut you off. There was excitement in Lu Hua's eyes, as if he was excited to be able to dismember Li Gui. He held the scalpel in one hand, while the other hand still suppressed the ghost hair. The scalpel has supernatural power, and it is an existence that specializes in cutting ghosts. If this falls, it can certainly be done. However, at this moment, a crisp footstep suddenly resounded from the laboratory. Clatter, clatter. The sound of the footsteps was very abrupt, but it entered Lu Hua's mind clearly. Let his palm subconsciously pause. He looked down at his feet, as if he had a pair of embroidered shoes on his feet. But then, his blackened hands suddenly fluctuated, which seemed to make the pair of embroidered shoes disappear. This is Wan. Although Lu Hua looks like a lunatic, he is not stupid. On the contrary, he immediately thought of this ability a gentleman possesses. However, this power was resisted by his own ghost hand. However, the next moment, Chen Xuan with a blood-stained mask appeared in the laboratory. Under the mask, Sen Lang looked at Lu Hua and asked coldly, "What are you doing?" As soon as these words came out, everyone jumped suddenly and found Chen Xuan standing in the laboratory. Before that, the voice had not been heard by them. Because once the footsteps are heard, the Ghost Rider is fine, and ordinary people may be killed directly. And Chen Xuan didn't know the situation at the scene, so naturally he deliberately controlled it. However, what he didn't expect was that just as he stabilized his body, he saw a scene that made him angry. Lu Hua was shocked when he saw Chen Xuan, but then he calmed down. With a gloomy look on his face, he said, "Gentlemen, right. You trespassed at the headquarters to disturb my experiment, and I haven't asked you yet. You'd better give me." Before he could finish speaking, he suddenly saw a tall scarecrow behind Chen Xuan. The scarecrow held a rusty sickle in his hand, and he slashed towards his hands without hesitation. Not good. Lu Hua's complexion changed, subconsciously wanting to retreat, but unfortunately, even if he retreated to Tianya Cape, locked by the death god's scythe, it would not help. Call out. Puff. With a muffled sound, both arms were cut off by the scythe of the god of death. In an instant, the entire laboratory fell silent. In the entire Ghost Rider headquarters laboratory, everyone watched this scene in astonishment. From Chen Xuan's appearance to his shot, it actually only took a few seconds. So much so that no one reacted. Of course, what they were astonished was not only Chen Xuan's strength, but Chen Xuan's courage. This is the Ghost Rider headquarters laboratory. How many official Ghost Riders are gathered here? How dare you attack a captain-level Ghost Rider in front of everyone here, and you are so cruel. This is simply no different from rebellion. After the shock, Wu Yi suddenly shouted angrily, "Gentlemen, are you crazy? How dare you attack the people at the Ghost Rider headquarters? Hurry up, this is not the place for you to make trouble. You are not an official ghost hunter, and you have to abide by the official rules. If you don't make it, we will directly want you, leaving you nowhere to stay." Enough, Lu Pingchuan shouted angrily, stood up and explained, "Mr. Gentleman, the situation here is indeed my dereliction of duty, but you calm down first, I can fight for it from my superiors, and Chen Ruaoking will definitely be fine." Fine. Under the mask, an icy, biting voice resounded from Chen Xuan's mouth. He raised his finger and pointed at Chen Ruaoking, who was dripping with blood, and asked, "You tell me it's okay?" With a thought, he directly summoned the ghost doll. The tall ghost puppet's gaze fell on Chen Ruaoking's ghost hair. In an instant, the ghost hair was directly suppressed. The original state of distorted growth also stagnated. And the scalp that lost the suppression of the ghost hand also began to heal at a strange speed. The original white eyes also recovered at this moment, and Chen Ruaoking fell into a deep sleep again. Seeing this scene, Chen Xuan felt slightly relieved and looked aside. Lu Pingchuan, who allowed this? 983. He looked at each other aggressively, and asked coldly. After suppressing Chen Ruaoking's state, the next thing to do is to start doing things. Do you really think Chen Xuan would do that? Of course not. The reason why he didn't act immediately was because he was worried about Chen Ruaoking's safety. Now the ghost scissors have been found, and the ghost's recovery has also been suppressed by the ghost doll. Time to clear up what's next. Mr. Gentleman, calm down first, Lu Pingchuan was just halfway through speaking when he was directly interrupted by Chen Xuan's icy gaze. I repeat, who allowed it? Chen Xuan's cold words made everyone shudder. I want everyone to die here if no one admits it. Presumptuous. When Chen Xuan's voice fell, Wu Yi snorted coldly, stepped forward, and said solemnly, "Gentlemen, you are now in the laboratory of our Ghost Rider headquarters, and your identity is more of a Ghost Rider of the Sha Kingdom. In any case, that's not why you're messing around here. I advise you to stop your stupid actions now and cooperate with Ghost Rider headquarters to complete the investigation. Quote. Otherwise, the consequences will be unpredictable." Chen Xuan was not angry because of his words, but looked at the other party. "So, what happened just now is what you advocated." "It's me." Wu Yi didn't say much, but directly admitted it. "Very good. Advertisement." Chen Xuan nodded. "I dealt with him first, and then dealt with you." As soon as the voice fell, Chen Xuan stretched out his palm and grabbed Lu Hua, who was lying on the ground. Lu Hua's hands were chopped off, but he did not die, and even the blood from the wound did not flow out. It was as if what he just cut off were not the hands of a living person, but the hands of 4 people. "You want to kill me?" Lu Hua was brought up in front of Chen Xuan, a ferocious look flashed in his eyes. Hee, if you kill me, the ghost in my body will recover. At that time, the first thing he will dismember is you. Quote. Yes. Chen Xuan looked at him coldly. I cut it first. Swish. The death scythe behind him slashed directly at the same time as Chen Xuan's voice fell. This time, the target of the sickle was not the hands, but Lu Hua's body. Stop. Calm down, doctor, everyone suddenly exclaimed, but Chen Xuan actually dared to do something to Lu Hua in front of everyone's eyes. Get out of the way. Suddenly, the cold voice of Han Guang wearing sunglasses resounded. In an instant, everyone subconsciously dodged to the sides. The ghost fire Han Guang has a high reputation in the entire headquarters and is called a quasi-dollar level thinker. And the reason why he is so powerful is because of its ghost fire, ghost domain. A cluster of faint green ghost fires kept beating in Han Guang's eyes, and then spread out towards the surroundings with a scorching aura. I saw that dense green sparks suddenly appeared out of thin air in the surrounding air, like ghost fires constantly floating in the cemetery. A roasted smell with a strong corpse stench emerged from the void, making people nauseous. If you are affected by the ghost fire for a long time, you can even burn the other party directly into ashes from the inside out. At this moment, the power of the ghost fire ghost domain directly shrouded Chen Xuan's body, trying to stop the death scythe from falling. This is the ghost realm, which itself has the effect of suppressing the abilities of other ghosts. During the rising of the ghost fire, everyone did see that the speed of the scarecrow ghost man's whereabouts became slower. But it's just slow. The scarecrow ghost man's death scythe was still slashing down inch by inch. On the other side, Chen Xuan pinched his neck and Liu Hua could feel that he started from the head, as if there was an inexplicable force that forcibly tore his skull. Can't stop it. Han Guang's complexion changed slightly. He didn't expect that the sharpness of this death god's scythe was so terrifying that it could even cut through his own ghost realm. No, if this goes on, Lu Hua will surely die and the surgical ghost in his body will recover. Han Guang gritted his teeth suddenly, put his hand into his pocket, and actually grabbed a handful of black soot. The soot is nothing but the remains of the dead after the cremation. Swish! He threw the ashes out, and these ashes actually hung and did not fall, directly merging with the surrounding ghost fires, and in an instant, the flames exploded, wrapping the straw ghost man's body directly. Since I can't stop it, I'll set you Scarecrow on fire. Scarecrow ghost, it was burned, see what else you can use to control this sickle. Just at a glance, Han Guang saw that the death god's scythe was controlled by the Scarecrow ghost. As long as this Scarecrow ghost man is restrained, others who want to use the death scythe directly will inevitably pay a great price. Do you want to burn the Scarecrow to limit my death scythe? Chen Xuan not only did not panic when he saw this scene, but instead let out a playful laugh. Puff! The ghost fire burned, and the Scarecrow ghost was instantly enveloped by the rich firelight. The whole person is like a burning evil spirit. However, at this moment, the exaggerated mouth of the straw ghost man suddenly opened. Then, a terrifying suction force emerged directly. Woohoo! All the ghost fires were actually sucked into the mouth by the straw ghost man uncontrollably, and ate it abruptly. And those straws that were scorched by the ghost fire, fell like ashes, and soon a brand new straw grew. And this time, the straw ghosts actually resisted the suppression of the ghost fire ghost realm. The S-rank specter, the Scarecrow ghost, finally showed its incomparably powerful side at this moment. HMPH, do you really think the S-rank specter can be suppressed so easily? Chen Xuan sneered in his heart, standing still, not even planning to do anything. Swish! The death god's sickle suddenly trembled, breaking free from the influence of all the ghost realms, and forcibly slashed down from the top of Lu Hua's head. Scoff! Lu Hua's body was forcibly split in half and fell to the ground. Silence. Deathly silence. Everyone looked at this scene in astonishment. Lu Hua, a dignified captain-level ghost master, a top researcher from the military, was cut into two pieces with the support of Han Guang ghost domain. However, the current Lu Hua, even if he was cut in half by Chen Xuan, still did not die. Between the two halves of his body, there was a scorched ghost hiding in it. The ghost hands scattered on the ground, like living creatures, crawled over, trying to sew the split halves together. Many people feel a little creepy when they see this scene. Is this the power of the Ghost Rider? If a normal person is cut in half, how can he not die? But now, not only is the other party not dead, but he is still thinking about repairing it. Boom! Han Guang took a step and stepped into the laboratory, and the whole body has completely turned into a civic of ghosts. He was a little angry. This time he was ordered to help Wu Yi complete the plan, but now, not only did the plan not complete, but Lu Hua was cut in half in front of him. If this can't be solved, he will lose face when he goes back. So, he doesn't hold back anymore. The terrifying ghost fire mixed with the ashes of the dead kept surging towards Chen Xuan. He naturally knew that Chen Xuan was in control of all this, and as long as Chen Xuan was dealt with, he could deal with it. On the other side, Chen Xuan felt the rising temperature around him. The rich soot even has to drill into his body along the nostrils. Once this dead man's ashes fill his body, he will directly turn into a corpse, and it is still a cremated corpse. However, these powers were all resisted by the ghost mask. It has no effect for the time being. However, although Chen Xuan himself has no influence, it does not mean that others have no influence. At the very least, if Chen Ruoqing was shrouded in this ghost realm for a long time, her body would definitely not be able to bear it. Is it a ghost domain? Chen Xuan's voice became even colder than before. I happen to have it too. Boom. The ghost cane in his hand paused slightly and made a dull sound. Next moment, the air became inexplicably moist, and a blood-colored ray of light diffused out, even completely covering the entire laboratory. Ghost realm. Han Guang's pupils shrank, feeling the fluctuations in this red light, and couldn't help showing a solemn expression. Previously, the headquarters had speculated that Chen Xuan might have a ghost domain, but he had never seen the other party perform. Finally see it now. As soon as this red light appeared, it quickly turned into blood-colored water droplets, and the water droplets condensed and began to turn into a stream of water. The water was so thick that it looked like scarlet blood. The strange thing is that these bloods seem to have escaped the gravity of the earth and can float back and forth in the air. All burning. The ghost fire was completely suppressed the moment the blood appeared. Puff puff. The ghost fire went out, and Chen Xuan's contemptuous voice followed. Do you think you want to take this opportunity to save this waste? The voice fell, and the bloody water rushed towards Lu Hua on the ground. This time, Han Guang's complexion changed drastically. No, he suppressed my ghost realm. Han Guang's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect this gentleman's ghost realm to be so terrifying. Not only did he restrain his ghost fire, but under his protection, he ripped apart the ghost realm and rushed towards Lu Hua. Damn it! Han Guang shouted angrily and rushed towards Lu Hua at Yinbu. In the entire laboratory, the space is only a few dozen square meters, and it can be rushed to the front in a few steps. Han Guang stretched out his hand and wrapped a layer of dead ashes around his palm, trying to forcibly pull out the cracked Lu Hua. However, as soon as he touched it, the bloody water rushed towards him, and what was even more terrifying was that pale palms appeared from the soft feet in the blood, grabbed his wrist, and wanted to put it away. He dragged in. What the hell is this ghost realm? Why is it so scary? Everyone outside the door felt numb when they saw this scene. They tried their best to stay away from the door of the laboratory, for fear that the ghost realm would rush out accidentally. Not far away, Wu Yi was even more shocked and stunned. This gentleman is so strong. How is it possible? He can even suppress Han Guang's ghost realm. More than suppression. Luo Ji was wearing glasses, but at this moment he couldn't help but retort, this is rolling. This ghost realm not only has the characteristics of water, but also at least curse, corrosion and other properties. The ghost fire has been completely suppressed. Quote. Also, I seem to have seen the curse of this ghost hand somewhere. What, have you seen it? Lu Pingchuan's expression changed and he asked, where? Ghost River. Luo Ji spit out 2 words. Ghost River. Lu Pingchuan's heart skipped a beat. This file had been included in the archives of the Ghost Rider headquarters a long time ago. And the danger of the Ghost River is defined as S grade. It is described that there are countless terrifying pale ghost hands inside, which can pull people into it. However, the appearance of Ghost River is not in the real world, so it is not known by the world. But now, Chen Xuan's ghost realm is actually comparable to the ghost hand curse of Gaihei, which is simply incredible. Where did the opponent come from? How could he even use this curse for himself? During the discussion, Han Guang had already retreated in the Chen Xuan ghost realm. And the rest of the blood water wrapped Lu Hua's body completely. In an instant, a shrill scream resounded from it. Ah, help me, help. Lu Hua wanted to struggle, but he couldn't even move because he was covered in blood. Chen Xuan's manipulation is to directly separate him from the ghost in his body through the curse of the ghost hand. Li Gui couldn't be killed, but that didn't mean Lu Hua couldn't be killed himself. Soon, countless pale palms tore off Lu Hua's human skin. That's right, now Lu Hua's body has been occupied by the specter, and only one human skin is left for him. This person's skin was wrapped in ghost blood, and it was riddled with corrosion in an instant. No researcher, no captain-level powerhouse, in front of Chen Xuan, still did not escape the fate of death. Died. Everyone saw that the sea of blood receded, and Lu Hua's human skin completely disappeared. They all showed terrifying eyes. Under the suppression of a quasi-S-rank Ghost Rider, the gentleman not only crushed the opponent, but also killed Lu Hua directly in front of everyone. Ka ka ka. Only a charred corpse was left, and he began to assemble the two devils on himself. It instinctively wants to get up and look for the nearest living person to devour. It needs to tear the living apart, take out the guts, and put itself in. This is a very delicate operation, but a surgical ghost can easily do it. So, he easily targeted Chen Xuan. However, Chen Xuan just glanced at it. Swish. The death scythe slashed twice, and the surgical ghost was split in half. Chen Xuan knocked on his ghost cane and put it in directly with the ghost hat. This specter is not bad, he feels that it is necessary for the ghost doll to swallow it up. Okay, solved one, now it's your turn. Glancing at everyone blankly, Chen Xuan directly aimed at Han Guang. This is a quasi-S-rank Ghost Rider who possesses the existence of Ghost Realm. However, in Chen Xuan's eyes, his Ghost Realm just restrained the opponent. As a result, the blood began to churn, and it was thrown towards the opponent for a delay. In the laboratory, Chen Xuan's deliberate manipulation did not affect Chen Ruoqing in the slightest. Han Guang felt the pressure, and the ghost fire around him began to brew, rise, and keep surging towards the blood. But the power of this blood water is too terrifying, as if it was born to restrain the ghost fire. No matter how much he used his abilities, he couldn't resist. But Han Guang couldn't retreat, because after retreating, behind him were the staff of the laboratory at the headquarters of the Ghost Rider. Facing this kind of ghost realm, they have no power to fight back at all. Similarly, other people naturally saw that Han Guang's current state was struggling to support him. Wu Yi's face was ashen at the moment. He stood behind and shouted, "Gentlemen, you are too much, stop quickly, or you will be wanted by the entire Ghost Rider headquarters and wanted worldwide." To shut up, Lu Pingchuan roared and interrupted his words directly. In my heart, I was almost scolding Wu Yi, and I didn't even look at what was going on now. Gentlemen suppressed Han Guang so easily, if you irritate him again, you will directly wipe out everyone here. Even if the S-rank Ghost Riders are rushed over now, I am afraid it will be too late. At this time, he actually dared to contradict. Just looking for death. Mr. Gentleman, calm down, now that Lu Hua is dead, you can calm down. Lu Pingchuan quickly explained, you see that Chen Ruoqing's current state has not been completely controlled, we might as well solve the problem of her ghost's recovery first. At that time, if you have something to do, sit down and talk slowly. Quote, if it were any other reason, Chen Xuan would definitely ignore it. But after all, it involves Chen Ruoqing. He couldn't just ignore it. Glancing at Chen Ruoqing, who was still unconscious, Chen Xuan's eyes wandered for a moment and said indifferently, okay, I can stop, but before that, I have to bear the responsibility. As he said that, he snorted coldly, and the ghost blood that had been stalemate suddenly surged up. In an instant, Han Guang was packaged. Not good. Everyone's expressions changed and they exclaimed. But before they could move, they saw the blood receding, and the wrapped Han Guang didn't seem to be damaged. But when his arm was exposed, everyone's expressions changed. Because one of Han Guang's arms was corroded and completely disappeared. Wow, the blood was surging, and he rushed out of the door of the laboratory, rushing towards the crowd in a constant trend. This time, even Lu Pingchuan and others changed their expressions. Mr. Gentleman, what are you doing? Calm down. Mr. Gentleman, don't hurt Wufu. Help, help. Chen Xuan's eyes were cold as he watched the ghost blood rush towards the crowd like a living creature. When many researchers saw this scene, they were frightened and fled wildly. It is true that they study supernatural power, but the more they study, the more fearful they are of this kind of power. At this moment, everyone knows that the fate of being contaminated will definitely become extremely miserable. However, ghost blood was not as unscrupulous as imagined, but purposefully passed through the crowd and landed directly on Wu Yi, the deputy minister, who retreated in horror. Are you arrogant before? Chen Xuan's contemptuous words sounded, and the ghost blood began to entangle the other's body. But now you, let me down. Chen Xuan, you must calm down. Wu Yi is the deputy minister. If something happens to him, then there will be a big problem. Although Lu Pingchuan didn't deal well with Wu Yi, he had to persuade him at this time. Because Wu Yi's status is too special, a deputy minister was killed by the Ghost Rider, and it was passed on to the top, and he would never reconcile with the gentleman. Maybe even send a powerful S-rank Ghost Rider to kill him completely. This is not what Lu Pingchuan wants to see. Chen Xuan just snorted in response, and then the ghost blood turned abruptly. What? Wu Yi screamed, and then saw the ghost blood recede like a tide. However, at the same time as the blood receded, his originally intact body actually lost a pair of thighs. Strangely, Wu Yi, who had lost his legs, did not bleed out the slightest bit of blood except for the pain. Everyone couldn't help but feel chills when they saw this scene. Is this the strength of an S-rank Ghost Rider? It directly deprives people of their legs, and no one can stop them. This time I will teach you a lesson, if there is another time, Chen Xuan snorted coldly and looked at Lu Pingchuan. Don't scare me with the Ghost Rider headquarters, if you have any ability, just come. Let's see if I'm dead or are you dead. After he finished speaking, he moved his footsteps, and the figure slowly disappeared directly in the laboratory. Chen Xuan left, but in front of Chen Ruaoqing, there was a pair of scissors that exuded a ghostly aura. Luo Ji rushed in and was surprised when he saw this pair of scissors. It's the ghost scissors, hurry up, let someone prepare the equipment and start helping Chen Ruaoqing control the third specter. Why? He didn't care about Lu Hua's death or Wu Yi's situation. The only thing he cares about is to complete the fusion of ghost scissors and Chen Ruaoqing. He also wanted to see what kind of changes would happen to Chen Ruaoqing, who had mastered the three species. What? Wu Yi, who had regained his senses, was completely overwhelmed by the pain. Lu Pingchuan, look at what you've done. This gentleman is so outrageous that he dared to kill the ghost hunter at the headquarters in the laboratory and even seriously injured the deputy minister. Wu Yi broke out in a cold sweat from pain, but his anger remained undiminished. I must report it to the top to get rid of this scourge directly. Snapped. Lu Pingchuan raised his hand suddenly and slapped Wu Yi blindly. He looked at each other gloomily. Wu Yi, are you too embarrassed to say that? Who do you think you are? In front of a gentleman, you are not a deputy minister at all, but an ordinary person who is powerless to fight back. If it wasn't for you who insisted on taking action against Chen Ruaoqing, how could there be such a commotion? Are you still thinking of reporting? When the report is up, do you think the above will implement your plan? After today's events, Lu Pingchuan can already be sure that the gentleman's toughness is enough to give the top management a shot. Even with Han Guang present, the other party still beheaded Lu Hua, and even took away one of Han Guang's arms and the legs of Vice Minister Wu Yi. At the same time, it also indicated that the other party was not a mindless ghost hunter. It not only gave the Ghost Rider headquarters a shock, but also did not reach the point of irreversibility. He believes that as long as the high levels see these evidences, they will have their own judgments. The method proposed by Wu Yi before will not be adopted at all. Because, no one can bear the consequences of an S-rank Ghost Rider losing his mind. What's more, even if you can solve the other party, how can the ghost in the other party's body return? Once the specter revived, it would be a supernatural event that was even more terrifying than an S-rank Ghost Rider. Minister Lu, this gentleman is very dissatisfied with us now. What should we do now? When the incident here gradually subsided, an assistant couldn't help worrying. The most important thing for us is to handle Chen Ruaoqing's affairs. Lu Pingchuan glanced at the laboratory, turned and walked towards the distance. I'm going to report to the minister now. In addition to Chen Ruaoqing's affairs, I must also give the gentleman other compensations. After 2 steps, Lu Pingchuan suddenly stopped. Said again. Update the gentleman's file, increase the ghost domain information, and specially mark the S+ level. What? S+ grade? The assistant couldn't help but change his face when he heard it. The S class itself is already the strongest representative of the entire Blue Star Ghost Riders. Of course, it is also the S class, and there are different distinctions between strengths and weaknesses. According to the division of Ghost Rider headquarters, it can be divided into 2 divisions, S plus S. As long as there is one more plus sign, it proves that the opponent's strength is a leader even among S-rank ghost hunters. He did not expect that Minister Lu would be able to directly improve the opponent's rating with this shot. In fact, how did he know that the reason why Lu Pingchuan changed his rating on Chen Xuan was not just because he was terrible this time? There is also the ability that he can return from the Ghost Street, and the Ghost Hand, which is suspected to be similar to the Ghost River, curses the Ghost Domain. All these added up, enough to give Minister Lu a new understanding of Chen Xuan's strength. Only with a new rating can Lu Pingchuan have the confidence to impress the ministers. On the other hand, the reason why Chen Xuan left the lab so quickly was to be safe. After all, it was the laboratory of the Ghost Rider headquarters, although that Han Guang was suppressed by himself. But maybe there are other Ghost Riders coming. As for Chen Xuan's departure, will it affect Chen Ruoqing's situation? He wasn't worried about that. Just because the gentleman showed his due strength and fear, Chen Ruoqing would not have any abnormality. At least, when they are safe, it is impossible for the other party to have problems. And with the horror of ghost scissors, Chen Xuan believes that suppressing Chen Ruoqing's recovery will not be a problem. Next, it's just a matter of time. He first returned to his apartment in Xingfu community and looked at Xian, who was still sitting on the sofa. Let him return to the photo frame, and he changed his clothes and became the original Chen Xuan. Sitting on the sofa, he couldn't help but recall the experience of these days. The three shops with strange power in the Street of the Ghosts do not know whether to control or suppress the ghost scissors of the Ghost City officials. And beyond the back door, there is an endless river of ghosts. Red, color coffin, villagers with bloody eyes, and the ugly female ghost in Cheongsam. He also couldn't be sure whether the Cheongsam ghost would suddenly appear in front of him at some point in time. Chen Xuan always had a feeling that the other party seemed to be eyeing him. Still not strong enough. Chen Xuan leaned on the sofa and made himself a comfortable position. The reason why I have concerns is because I am not strong enough. Chen Xuan couldn't help looking at the time. It had been 4 days since the last weekly signing. If there are 2 more days, it will be the 3rd weekly lottery. According to the previous rewards, this time the weekly lottery will definitely have S-rank ghosts. Maybe if you get it right, you will be able to get 2 shots. If 2 S-rank ghosts appear, your strength can be improved to an even more terrifying level. Maybe, I just need to wait a few days with peace of mind. Chen Xuan's eyes flickered and he came to a conclusion. Although a little anxious, this method is also the most stable method. Of course, if these words were heard by other Ghost Riders, they would probably be engulfed by Chi Chi Chao. Just waiting, you can get Li Gui without any risk, and it is still 100% controlled without any side effects. Such a benefit, but still dislike slowness. This time out, it really made Chen Xuan feel dangerous, and it was very rare to be able to enjoy this rare quiet time. However, Chen Ruoqing's things lingered in his mind all the time, but he didn't completely relax. Regarding Chen Ruoqing's worries, Chen Xuan felt that he was a normal person. Otherwise, can an indifferent person who doesn't care about life and death really be called a person? Soon, a day later, Chen Xuan finally received the news about Chen Ruoqing. No, it should be the gentleman who received the news from Chen Ruoqing. Mr. Gentleman, Chen Ruoqing's current situation is very stable, but please come over for the specific situation, and we will talk about it in detail. Lu Pingchuan's words on the phone were very polite, and his invitation to Chen Xuan was also quite sincere. Don't worry, this time we want to compensate Chen Ruoqing for the damage caused by the last execution error. Also, thank you for your help. Quote, Chen Xuan didn't answer, but he understood what Lu Pingchuan meant. Simply put, you can rest assured that we are with goodwill. Okay, get ready, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Chen Xuan agreed to the request without thinking too long. First, he had to go this time, otherwise he would make the other party think he was timid. Timidity is the greatest timidity. Second, to be on the safe side, he has a brand new backhand, not obtained by signing in, but a brand new backhand developed by Chen Xuan himself. This is inspired by the Scarecrow Ghost. Hanging up the phone, Chen Xuan summoned the Straw Ghost Man, stretched out his hand and pulled a large amount of straw from him. With his own dexterous hands, he began to weave continuously, and soon formed a mini scarecrow. Chen Xuan called it a ghost stand-in. This avatar has supernatural powers in it. Coupled with the transmutation ability of Chen Xuan's ghost cane, it can turn it into its own appearance in a short period of time. And, because of the scarecrow ghost, Chen Xuan can manipulate each other through this. But the only difficulty is not being able to speak and transmit a voice. In order to solve this problem, Chen Xuan mobilized the ability of the ghost recorder to form a stand-in that can speak, listen, and even communicate continuously. Enough to be fake. The only problem is that if you want to operate the ghost stand-ins freely, you can't be too far apart. After getting dressed, Chen Xuan put a drop of his own blood on the ghost avatar he had prepared in his hand. It was immediately dropped on the ground. The ghost avatar jumped a few times, and then directly transformed into a figure wearing a ghost trench coat and a bowler hat. Exactly. Ren. Shiadu, Ghost Rider's headquarters laboratory, 5 underground floors. Mr. Gentleman, Chen Ruaoking's current situation is very stable. The ghost hair has been successfully suppressed, and the ghost wood comb has no signs of recovery. Luoji introduced to Chen Xuan next to him. However, unlike what we imagined, Chen Ruaoking, who had ghost scissors, did not wake up. Huh, do you know why? Chen Xuan's voice was still weird and cold. It's not clear yet. Luoji explained. At first I thought that the long recovery time of Li Gui caused Chen Ruaoking's brain damage, but after a comprehensive examination, we found that her brain was very normal, and there was no sign of damage. After ruling out the cause of the abnormal body, we can only attribute it to the supernatural cause. Quote. Spiritual reason? Chen Xuan questioned. Correct. Luoji nodded. I found that Chen Ruaoking's body seems to be undergoing some unknown change, like a transformation or transformation. Moreover, this transformation was not influenced by external force, but by the power hidden in her body. This kind of power seems to belong to the power of the specter, and it has changed because of the stimulation of the ghost scissors. Quote. The ghost recovers. Chen Xuan guessed. You mean, she actually has a ghost that has never appeared before in her body? No, it's not specter, but specter's power. Luoji spread out his hands. I can't describe it in detailed words. If the image is explained, Li Gui is like a watermelon. She doesn't have a watermelon now, but she drinks watermelon juice. Chen Xuan was silent for a while, then suddenly said. You mean, she is not a ghost, but has a body comparable to a ghost? Almost. Roy nodded. This change is not perfect. It seems that it will take time, and it can be a dream change for ghost riders. Once completed, she is equivalent to possessing a body that is not afraid of specter's recovery. And it is absolutely not afraid of the state. You can use all the ghosts she controls without any scruples. Quote. Without scruples. Standing on the roof of a hidden building outside the Ghost Rider's headquarters, Chen Xuan couldn't help his heart skip a beat. The discovery was horrific. If Chen Ruaoking could do it and use the ghost scissors without any scruples, his combat power would increase by an unknown number of levels. Even S-rank Ghost Riders should be careful when they see her. You must know that the biggest problem that plagues Ghost Riders is the recovery of ghosts caused by excessive use of ghost abilities. Therefore, it is necessary to constantly control the specter to create a balance. But now, Chen Ruaoking didn't need to control the specter at all, and he could use specter's abilities at will. This is simply terrifying. Theoretically, this is the case, but her body hasn't completely transformed, and she can't be without scruples for the time being. Roy gave the answer. Okay, I get it. Chen Xuan nodded. No matter what it was, at least Chen Ruaoking was in a good condition now. Mr. Gentleman, the conference room is ready. Minister Lu is waiting for you. Luoji said a word, then turned around and left, continuing to pay attention to Chen Ruaoking's changes. In the conference room, when Chen Xuan came again, everyone's gaze changed to him. In the conference room, Lu Pingchuan still presided over this meeting, but there were a few more powerful ghost riders on the side. However, it was only the quasi-S class that Han Guang had before, and the real S class did not appear. Welcome, gentlemen, to this meeting. Seeing Chen Xuan, Lu Pingchuan said with a smile on his face. Chen Xuan nodded slightly, saying hello. Please sit down. Lu Pingchuan gestured and sat down. Minister Lu, if you have something to say, you might as well just say it directly, and you don't have to turn around. Chen Xuan sat on the chair and glanced around. If you want to do it, I can also accompany you. Haha, where's where? Lu Pingchuan smiled and shook his head. Mr. Gentleman's strength has won the favor of the headquarters, we just want to make friends. And let some captain-level ghost riders get acquainted. If you meet Mr. Gentleman outside in the future, maybe you can help out. Quote. Seeing that Chen Xuan did not answer, Lu Pingchuan was not annoyed, but said with a smile. I know Mr. Gentleman doesn't like to cut corners, so I'll cut to the chase. This time, on behalf of the Sha Kingdom Ghost Rider headquarters, I invite you to join us and give the treatment of an S-rank Ghost Rider. All actions have the right to be independent. And an annual quota of 100 tons of gold is given, and it is given priority. At the same time, he also served as the deputy director of the Ghost Rider headquarters, at the same level as me. And as far as I know, no Ghost Rider has ever held such a position. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the surrounding Ghost Riders changed. They had heard before that the headquarters would spend a lot of effort to recruit this Ghost Rider, but they didn't expect to spend so much effort. Deputy Minister, this is a position that the Exorcist never imagined. And the gold quota, a full 100 tons. You must know that it is not easy for a captain-level Ghost Rider to mobilize 1 ton or even 10 tons. And it can't be used privately, and can only be used in special events. Now, to give Chen Xuan 100 tons in one breath is a complete shock. However, after Chen Xuan heard it, he said coldly, sorry, I'm used to being alone and don't like being restrained. To everyone's surprise, Chen Xuan refused without thinking. The reason why he refused is because Chen Xuan himself is strong enough now, and the demand for gold is not so strong. Second, Zhu Pengcheng has been helping him with acquisitions and has some inventory. Third, the most important sister, Chen Ruaoqing, is no longer afraid of Spectre's recovery, and the demand for gold has dropped further. For the rest, the post of deputy minister, he was not interested. What's more, Lu Pingchuan has not said the responsibilities to be fulfilled after joining. Every supernatural event is extremely dangerous, and Chen Xuan can't enter any place casually because of his strength. So he chose to refuse without hesitation. Seeing Chen Xuan's refusal, Lu Pingchuan didn't seem to have many surprises in his eyes. Instead, he continued with a smile and said, okay, since the gentleman is unwilling, then we will not force it. However, if there are any troublesome supernatural events in the future, Mr. Gentleman, please help. Of course, we will certainly give satisfactory remuneration. Quote. Chen Xuan was silent for a moment, then nodded suddenly. Okay, I can agree, but the premise of making a move requires you to provide enough information before I can decide. This Chen Xuan chose to agree because he valued the supernatural items owned by the Ghost Riders headquarters. Last time, the longevity lamp really helped Chen Xuan to block a Spectre's attack. Okay, that's fine. Seeing Chen Xuan's agreement, Lu Pingchuan's face burst into a smile. This time the purpose was finally achieved. It is precisely because of Chen Xuan's previous performance at the Ghost Rider headquarters that the above re-evaluated his strength. This is the condition for this. After all, the above are not fools, and they will never offend a Ghost Rider who can create a disaster because a dead Luwa and Wuyi who has lost his legs. Haha, since Mr. Gentleman agreed, let's move on to the next question. Lu Pingchuan said, this time, it was Mr. Gentleman who helped to solve Lu Hua's recovery of the Spectre. We have decided to compensate you with 10 tons of gold and a longevity lamp. How can I do it? The hearts of the few Ghost Riders who accompanied him were even more frantic, and their eyes were red with jealousy. Nima, what the hell, you killed the Ghost Rider at my Ghost Rider headquarters. Not only was he not wanted, but he gave 10 tons of gold and a longevity lamp instead. Especially that longevity lamp, even captain-level Ghost Riders can't apply for it casually. Forget the gold, you can give it to Chen Ruaoqing. Chen Xuan said directly, as for the longevity lamp, you can give it to me. He was thinking about how to get another longevity lamp, but he didn't expect it to be delivered so quickly. As for gold, he doesn't want others to find out his identity. Gold needs to arrange a location, which is a bit troublesome. Okay, then I'll have someone deliver it now. Before long, an oil lamp was sent to the conference room. It's getting late, so I'll go first. Chen Xuan stood up slowly, and did not go to get the longevity lamp on the table. He is a ghost double, which looks real, but is actually an illusion. Just when Lu Pingchuan and others were wondering, suddenly, footsteps sounded directly from the conference room. Da. The footsteps were very abrupt, and a strange aura emerged from the surroundings. Be careful, it's the ability of a ghost. A ghost rider's expression changed, and he couldn't help but use his ghost ability. But at this moment, in the quiet conference room, another figure dressed exactly like the gentleman appeared out of thin air in the conference room. Are these two gentlemen? How is this possible? Everyone's expressions changed, and they couldn't help exclaiming. One gentleman is already in trouble, and now there is another, which is a complete lie. However, before they could make a move, Chen Xuan stepped forward and took the longevity lamp in his hand. This lamp is good, thank you Minister Lu. His words sounded, and the sound of footsteps reappeared, and then disappeared directly in front of everyone. Go away, what about this? Everyone saw Chen Xuan, who suddenly disappeared into confusion, but they didn't wait for the doubt to fully emerge. I saw a very strange scene. The gentleman who was exactly the same as Chen Xuan actually began to wither and quickly turned into a scarecrow the size of a palm. The scarecrow twisted, as if it was completely rotten, and disappeared directly from the eyes of everyone. This is fake. It was only at this time that everyone realized that the gentleman who had just arrived was real, and the one who kept appearing in front of them was actually just a substitute. Everyone suddenly felt their hearts beating wildly. How capable is this gentleman? Lu Pingchuan frowned slightly, and the light in his eyes showed that his heart was not calm at the moment. I thought that I had already figured out Chen Xuan's abilities last time, but who knows, how long has it been before the other party has a brand new ability? It seems that Chen Xuan is like a deep black hole, and he never knows where his end is. Perhaps, his strength is not even S rank. In an instant, a terrifying guess could not help but emerge from Lu Pingchuan's mind. In fact, for Chen Xuan, this is what he wants to do. Originally, he could solve this matter without showing up. But he not only showed up, but also deliberately put the stand-in scarecrow. The ability is exposed to the other side. On the surface, it seems unwise. In fact, for these wise people, it has only increased their awe of themselves. With awe, they will always remain humble in their attitude towards themselves. And Chen Xuan can also buy more time for himself. With an extra longevity lamp, Chen Xuan knows that his safety has more guarantees. Just as he was about to return to his apartment, suddenly his phone rang. Chen Xuan looked at his other brand new mobile phone, which he asked Zhu Pengcheng to prepare separately. Different identities, different people. Only Zhu Pengcheng can know his phone number. As soon as it was connected, Zhu Pengcheng's surprise words came over the phone. Chen, Mr. Chen, is something wrong? Chen Xuan is straight to the point. Yes. Zhu Pengcheng nodded. The property right of Li's Yu Villa has been obtained, and I plan to take a complete rest these few days so that you can come over. But yesterday, news came suddenly. Zhu Pengcheng paused and seemed a little nervous. In the team in charge of the construction, 5 workers disappeared unexpectedly overnight last night. Missing. Chen Xuan raised his brows. So you suspect a supernatural event? Yeah, we really can't solve this kind of thing, so we can only contact you, Mr. Chen. Okay, you arrange the car, and I'll go there today. Okay, I'll send someone to pick you up. Hearing that Chen Xuan was willing to go, Zhu Pengcheng hurriedly said. After hanging up the phone, it didn't take long for a phantom to stop at the door of Chen Xuan community. Chen Xuan got in the car and went straight to Tianai City. But just after his figure left, the originally sunny summer capital was suddenly blown by a gust of breeze. A thick fog floated from the sky. The dense fog was gray, and it began to spread to the surroundings. Many pedestrians walking on the street couldn't help but frown. Damn, what the hell is this weather, it's so foggy. Yeah, it is said that the air quality in Shiadu is poor, and it is true. Hurry up and buy a mask, or you will choke. During the discussion, everyone showed disgust for Jian around the cage. But if Chen Xuan were here at the moment, he would definitely be able to recognize that the dense smog in the air was exactly the same as the smog in Fengmen village. Even vaguely, it also carried a bit of the rancid smell of a grave. Who would have thought that a terrible disaster for the entire Shiadu would come silently like this? Dayu Villa. Just as Chen Xuan got off the bus, he saw Zhu Pengcheng's figure appearing at the gate of the community. "Mr. Chen, you are here," Zhu Pengcheng said with a smile. "Where did he go missing? I've dealt with paranormal events here before, and there have been no problems." 11. "Not here, but on the hill behind the villa area." Zhu Pengcheng pointed to the distance. "In order to maintain the topographical environment in that villa area, the back mountain has not been moved before. I've been thinking about the past few days since Mr. Chen lives here, whether to repair the back mountain and make it a garden-like place. Who would have thought that, less than 2 days after the start of construction, 5 migrant workers went missing unexpectedly." Quote, "Are you sure it's missing?" Chen Xuan raised his eyebrows. "Have you seen a corpse or something?" He didn't care about the life and death of a few migrant workers, but felt that if the other party was not a supernatural incident, it would simply be a waste of his time. "No, they just disappeared out of thin air, and even the salutation of the shed is still there." Zhu Pengcheng shook his head. "And I heard from the foreman that they just went to the old abandoned house in Haoshan at night, and they never came back." "Abandoned old house?" Chen Xuan glanced at him. "Have you seen it?" "Yes." Zhu Pengcheng nodded, "but I didn't go in, I just looked outside. It is understood that when this building was developed before, because the old house was deep in the back mountain, the architectural style was retro, and the original planning drawings were not intended to be there. The location developed, so there was no movement. Now that they are all missing, I feel this is unusual, so I ask Mr. Chen's opinion first." Quote. Chen Xuan nodded slightly when he heard the words. Zhu Pengcheng was sensitive to supernatural events because of the previous ghost ball incident. "So I thought of this possibility. However, whether it is a supernatural event or not, he still needs to see it to know." Under the leadership of Zhu Pengcheng, Chen Xuan soon came to the back mountain of the villa area. The original concept here is an ecological garden, which is actually a gimmick made by developers to save costs. Following a mountain road, Chen Xuan went straight down to the foot of the mountain. In the middle of a mountain, I saw a 3-story building made of blue bricks. This small building looks retro and has a style similar to the palace. At first glance, it seems to have existed for at least 100 years. However, in the past 100 years, this small building has not been damaged in the slightest, but the walls of the yard outside are a little broken. Chen Xuan's expression froze when he saw this small building for the first time. Definitely has something to do with paranormal events. "Okay, let your people go away." Chen Xuan didn't approach, and directly said to Zhu Pengcheng, "It's very dangerous here, send someone to raise an alert and prohibit anyone from approaching." "What?" Zhu Pengcheng did not expect Chen Xuan to make a judgment before he approached, and his face changed immediately. "Okay, I'll make arrangements now." Chen Xuan nodded. "I'll go in and see for myself, so don't follow me." After speaking, he ignored the crowd and walked directly towards the old house. As soon as he stepped inside the wall, Chen Xuan felt a cold wind rising out of nowhere in the yard. And these winds are not blowing from other places, but are generated because of the strange aura emanating from the old house. The door of the old house is in a double-door state, and it is covered with a thick layer of metal. Chen Xuan subconsciously put his hand on it, and immediately raised his brows. Is there a mezzanine that isolates supernatural powers? Chen Xuan's eyes flashed, and he realized that his ghost ability could not penetrate. This shows that there must be pure gold in the interlayer. Only pure gold can stop the invasion of its psychic powers. This also proves that there must be ghosts in this old house. There is such an old house in the backyard of his own house, and Chen Xuan, the owner, must not allow it. At least, go in and check the situation. After thinking about it, he took off the top hat on his head and put on his original suit. Then he opened the door and stepped into the old house. Boom! The moment Chen Xuan disappeared, the door of the old house closed automatically with a muffled sound. Dark, damp, with a slight musty smell in the air. This is Chen Xuan's first impression when he enters the old house. In front of the position is a long ladder. This design is completely different from the current architectural style. Chen Xuan stretched out his hand to open the door on the left, glanced over, and found that it was empty inside. Except for an old table and chairs, he saw no other abnormality. On the other side, he also opened the door and took a look. It was the same pattern as on the left, and he didn't feel the slightest bit of Spectre's ability. Just an ordinary room. No supernatural power at all. Chen Xuan's eyes with an AIEC mask revealed a thoughtful look. But the whole house gives me the feeling that there is absolutely the power of the specter, there is no way to go wrong. Chen Xuan subconsciously looked back at the door. Suddenly the complexion changed, because the door had disappeared without knowing when. Missing. Chen Xuan clearly remembered that he had just entered here, and he just opened the door and didn't even enter the room. Your location is definitely not far from the door. But now, the door is gone, replaced by a staircase. It was as if he had appeared upstairs. Is it a hallucination? Chen Xuan knocked on his ghost cane. His cane itself was good at hallucinations, but with the release of his ability, Chen Xuan really felt that there seemed to be a force of ghosts colliding around him. However, this collision is not active, but passive. In other words, Chen Xuan can feel it, but he can't crack it. If you want to crack it, you must find the source of this old house. So, where is the source? Chen Xuan looked at the long stairs behind him, and did not go down, but continued on the internet. According to his guess, he should be able to walk to the second floor or even the third floor along the stairs. Clatter, clatter. Chen Xuan's pulsating footsteps began to head towards the stairs. Soon, after walking for a few minutes, he suddenly stopped. The second floor is gone. Chen Xuan looked puzzled, but he clearly remembered that he had been gone for almost 5 minutes. But as a result, the stairs upstairs seemed to have no end, and the door to the second floor was not seen yet. No, this illusion is the stairs. Chen Xuan understood. This was a ghost staircase with no end in sight. He was very sure that the migrant workers who disappeared yesterday must have wanted to come in at night to have a look, but they couldn't find their way back on the stairs. But after so long, why haven't they seen their shadows, even corpses? Chen Xuan stopped and looked around, the damp and mottled walls and the creaky wooden stairs. There is no light around, but it is not completely dark, as if there is a dim light reflecting the stairs. Suddenly, Chen Xuan subconsciously looked at his feet, as if a force was pulling him, preventing him from moving. Or, let him stop and rest. No, is this the power of the specter? Chen Xuan frowned and directly used the power of ghost shoes. Since you are an illusion, then I will let specter's ability increase the speed of progress to see if it can break through the influence of illusion. Shish. Chen Xuan's figure almost fell down a few steps, and he was able to walk dozens of steps. However, this situation continued for a full 10 minutes without the slightest result. Whether Chen Xuan goes upstairs or downstairs, it seems as if there is no end. It's an endless ghost staircase. It seems like it never ends. Also, as soon as you stop, your body seems to sit down uncontrollably. It seems that there is a voice in your body constantly telling you, take a rest, you are too tired, it is good to sit here, even if it is just for a minute. But Chen Xuan didn't sit down. His intuition told him that if he did sit down, he would probably be invaded by ghosts. This kind of method is incomprehensible to him, and if he is careless, he might actually die. Can we just keep going? Chen Xuan said to himself that in his current state, it would not be a problem to walk for days and nights in a row, but if he couldn't find a way out, it would be really dangerous. However, now is not the time to think too much. Chen Xuan thought about it, and continued to walk along the stairs. Only by constantly walking and trying, can we find the law. Time passed, I don't know how long. Far away in the summer capital, the smog that appeared before seemed to be getting thicker and thicker. Minister Liu, the smog is a little weird recently. Inside the Ghost Rider headquarters building, an assistant said with a solemn expression. Beginning yesterday, this smog began to appear over Shiadu, and it specifically shrouded the location of the Ghost Rider's headquarters, covering a radius of more than 10 kilometers. Anything unusual? Looking at the information in his hand, Lu Pingchuan asked suddenly. He knew that being able to get the assistant to report him here must involve something very serious. There was nothing unusual at first, and those who were shrouded in smog didn't show any weird behavior. The assistant said solemnly, it's just that starting today, we have found sporadic missing persons. And these missing persons are all within the scope of the garden haze. Quote. Missing. Lu Pingchuan raised his head. Have you sent a ghost rider to investigate? It's sent. The assistant said, we sent a team to check and found that they were missing. Missing. Trapped somewhere. Lu Pingchuan glanced at him, but did not hear words like death. Do not know. The assistant shook his head, but seriously, we found that there were suddenly more graves in the places where people disappeared. Grave. Lu Pingchuan's heart jumped, and when he heard these two words, he knew that there must be a supernatural event involved. That's right. There are pictures here. The assistant handed him a photo. Lu Pingchuan took a look, and his eyes suddenly jumped. In the very center of a pedestrian street, a new tomb made of black graves appeared strangely on the street. In the photo, you can also see the terrified eyes of the surrounding pedestrians. How could this be? Did you send someone to investigate? One team is not enough, so 2, 3. Lu Pingchuan said quickly, this is the capital of Sha, the center of the entire Sha kingdom. If a large-scale paranormal event does occur, then the trouble is big. Advertisement. Send. A captain-level ghost rider went over to check it out in person, and then took the photos. The assistant said solemnly, yes. Because of this, the problem is more serious. Quote. Why? Because the captain is Shui Qian. He said that this tomb is exactly the same as the tomb in Fengmen village, but there is one less tombstone. What? Fengmen village? Lu Pingchuan suddenly stood up from his seat, his face completely changed. He knew before that the supernatural incident in Fengmen village involved ghost trees and those strange tombs. If it weren't for the gentleman's shot, I'm afraid it would be difficult for these captains to leave. But now, the spirit of Fengmen village actually appeared in Shiadu. This is not a very good signal. Isn't the ghost tree already dealt with? How can it still appear? I suspect it wasn't dealt with, or rather, it emerged in another way. Shui Qian didn't know when he came in. The medium this time is likely to be the smog. I checked the weather forecast. Originally, all areas in the summer have been sunny in the past few days, and there is no possibility of smog. Shui Qian coughed a few times and said solemnly, Minister Liu, I suspect that the supernatural event this time is likely to be a large-scale A-level supernatural event, and it may even rise to S grade. What? Lu Pingchuan exclaimed in amazement, class. If it really became an S-level supernatural event, and it still enveloped Shiadu, it would be a terrible disaster. So far, all recorded S-class paranormal events in the archives have caused extremely terrifying and serious consequences. Quick, immediately mobilize all the captain-level ghost riders who can come out and prepare for the sudden supernatural event of the S-level. After the shock, Lu Pingchuan hurriedly started giving orders with a serious look. Pay close attention to the trend of smog, and will transfer all personnel and important resources covering the regional headquarters. Direct destruction that cannot be transferred. Block that area. Ban any movement of people, fast. Act now. Quote, Minister Liu, that area is equivalent to nearly a quarter of Shiadu's area, isn't it a bit too big? You should be praying now that it doesn't continue to spread. Lu Pingchuan glanced at his assistant and said, if it continues to expand, ordinary people in the entire Shiadu will suffer annihilation. The assistant's expression froze, and among ordinary people, there is simply no ability to resist this kind of supernatural event. It didn't take long for orders to be passed directly from the Ghost Rider headquarters. All Ghost Riders who are not yet tasked are ordered to be ready to deal with the situation of paranormal events at any time. Of course, the general ghost hunter must not be able to play a very good role here. To be able to participate in this level of supernatural events, at least one must control the existence of two specter ghosts. Dr. Luoji, should I be able to participate in this operation? On the 5th basement floor of the laboratory, Chen Ruo, with long black hair tied with several red headbands, asked lightly. You have mastered the ghost scissors, the ghost hair, and the ghost comb, the 3 ghosts, and you can definitely participate. Luoji nodded. However, I think it's best to observe the changes in your body for a while. No, I feel fine. The expression on Chen Ruoqing's face was a little indifferent, as if his mind was influenced by Li Gui, or it was caused by changes in his body. But before that, I have to contact my brother. Chen Ruoqing reached out and rolled up a strand of long hair, and looked at the red headband tied to her hair. Why are there so many red headbands? There was a light of thought in her eyes. Brother, are you hiding something from me? When Chen Ruoqing was in Suxing before, she hadn't thought about this issue. She had always thought that her big brother Chen Xuan was just an ordinary person. I always liked to joke with myself. If she hadn't seen the familiar red head rope, she really wouldn't have thought of this layer. But just as she felt the change in her body, she also directly felt the abnormality from the red headband. She really felt that the red headband actually exudes the power of a ghost. That kind of ghost power is definitely not fake. She didn't feel it before because she wasn't keen enough to feel the power of Spectre. But I don't know why after her body changed, she found the difference in the red headband. What surprised him even more was that there were actually 7 red headbands on her body. Chen Ruoking has done a comparison, and the 7 are almost identical. From that moment on, she began to suspect that it was her good big brother who had been acting in another capacity all along. Brother, are you really a gentleman? Chen Ruoking can't wait to make a phone call now to ask about the other party's situation. Yes, besides his own big brother, who would be so kind and show up when he was most important? And unconditionally help yourself to solve all kinds of difficulties. Even, in order to find ghost scissors, he did not hesitate to enter the street of ghosts. From Dr. Luo's mouth, she heard the horror of Elm Street with her own ears. There's even a ghost river behind it. Chen Ruoking couldn't wait to pick up the phone and dialed Chen Xuan's number. Beep, beep. Soon, the phone was suddenly connected. Chen Ruoking's heart jumped, and she was actually a little nervous. Elder brother, she said softly. It seemed to be less casual and more nervous. She was nervous about whether her guess was true. On the one hand, she hopes it is, because if the gentleman is really Chen Xuan, she feels that she has complete support. But on the other hand, she hoped not. No one knew better than her the danger of becoming a ghost master. She didn't want Chen Xuan to break her ordinary life and worry about the recovery of Spectre all day. But when her chaotic thoughts were lingering in her mind, the voice from the other end of the phone made her confused. Hey, is that your sister? Are you still on a mission? When can I go home? I'm ready to cook. Oh. Chen Ruoking was silent for a while. It's nothing, I just asked how your situation is. Now Shiadu's situation is not very good. Don't you want to know where you are staying at home? Okay, I'll do it. Then, goodbye, brother. Okay, bye. After hanging up the phone, Chen Ruoking fell silent. She knew that the voice on the other end of the phone belonged to Chen Xuan, but it didn't belong to Chen Xuan either. Because, that person, or Li Gui, only belongs to Chen Xuan's voice and lacks Chen Xuan's feelings. At this moment, Chen Ruoking seemed to have made up his mind. The identity of Chen Xuan was confirmed. But the only regret is that she has not confirmed it to the other party. When I come back, I will find you personally to verify it. Chen Ruoking suddenly grinned. Smelly big brother, you lied to me so bad. After speaking, she got up and sorted her clothes, pushed open the door of the laboratory, and walked out. If Chen Xuan heard this, he would be wronged. Because, from the very beginning, he never hid anything from Chen Ruoking, but she didn't believe it at all. Are you all ready? Zhang Qing glanced at Chen Ruoking. Are you sure you want to go? Chen Ruo nodded lightly. Captain, although I have just recovered, I am still in good shape. This is my responsibility and I cannot shirk it. She looked at the many new teammates beside her. Unfortunately, Cao Feng is gone. Yeah, I don't know, this time we will be able to have a few left alive. Zhang Qing couldn't help but sigh. Death and life are not important. The important thing is that you should die far away, lest the ghost revives. Chen Ruoking herself is a person with a sense of justice and responsibility, otherwise she would not have joined the Ghost Rider headquarters without hesitation. Her idea is very simple, that is, to use her own ability to stop Spectre's destruction. Everyone was silent when they heard the words. That's right, once the Spectre recovers, it's better to stay away than to create a disaster. After all, his family is all in Shiadu. Shish. Cars drove directly from the Ghost Rider headquarters base, heading towards the blockade area northeast of Shiadu. In less than an hour, everyone stopped at the edge of the haze. This time, the lineup that came to solve the supernatural event was extraordinarily luxurious. Among them, there are as many as 5 captain-level Ghost Riders who lead the team. Among the 5, there is also a quasi-S-rank Ghost Rider, which is Ghostfire Han Guang. In addition, there were a total of 5 temporarily formed squads, and each member of the squad had at least 2 Spectre under control. Even if there is one, it is an existence with extremely special abilities. 15 people, plus 4 captains, and a quasi-S rank Ghost Rider. Such a lineup, even when the Fengman village incident was resolved, did not have such luxury. If we go inward, we should enter the civic wrapped in this garden. Han Guang raised his hand and touched it, his face with black sunglasses was solemn. This haze is a ghost domain. Everyone's expressions changed. No wonder the previous team has disappeared, and unknown changes will definitely occur when entering the ghost realm. Then do we still have to go in? There is a ghost master who can't help but look ugly. It is not a wise move to rush into the other party's ghost realm. Of course I'm going in. Han Guang said without turning his head, we're here to solve this supernatural incident this time. If you just retreat like this, how can you communicate with the headquarters? Besides, not only the Sha Kingdom but also many ghost riders in the whole world are now staring at us. Once we do things poorly, or let this supernatural event code-named Ghost Haze turn into a disaster, it would be a serious blow to our prestige. Quote, hearing this, the crowd fell silent. Indeed, under the premise of the recovery of specter ghosts, the comparison of various countries has already gone from the economic war on the bright side to the comparison of the resolution of supernatural events. Once you are entangled in a supernatural event and cannot solve it smoothly, then it means that the strength of the ghost controllers in the country is too weak. If this goes on, the ghost controllers of other countries will be eyeing them. So it seems to be just a supernatural event, but in fact the impact is very large. Maybe, at this moment, on the satellite images of other countries, I have seen the ghost haze that appeared over Shiadu. This time it was Han Guang who made the decision, and since the decision was made, everyone no longer hesitated. The team of 20 people, after preparing for a while, directly entered the increasingly thick eastern smog minister. Half an hour later, after traveling a distance of less than 3 kilometers, everyone came to a main road. The deeper you go, the thicker the haze becomes. Cough cough. If I knew it earlier, I should have brought in a gas mask first. Isn't this too choking? A ghost rider couldn't help but muttered while covering his mouth and nose. Hee, this is a supernatural power, are you sure that the gas mask can work? Shui Qian coughed heavily, as if he didn't catch the smog. It will definitely help if you bring it. Qin Long has almost recovered now, and his eyes swept around vigilantly. We didn't see a few graves along the way, maybe there are more survivors who should have hid in the house minister. That's right. Pang Ling took a sip of the cigar, and a layer of ghost smoke enveloped herself. Although this kind of smog is weird, hiding in the room can still isolate a part of it. Among the people present, if they understand the smog, I am afraid it can only be the ghost smoke Pang Ling. However, hiding this kind of thing is not very useful, as long as you inhale a little, the curse inside can play a role. Pang Ling swept the surroundings. No one can be seen here, it is very likely that they have died and become a tomb. As soon as she finished speaking, someone next to her suddenly exclaimed, "Look, there's someone there." Everyone looked at the prestige and saw more than a dozen figures hiding in a convenience store that seemed to have discovered their existence. Seeing that Han Guang and his party were so unscrupulous, they thought they had seen a savior. In an instant, the door opened, and more than a dozen figures rushed towards them. "Help me, help, great, someone is finally here. I really don't want to be in this damn place. Dash 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 dash." The crowd screamed as they ran wildly. But just after a few steps, Han Guang and the others suddenly saw an astonishing scene. On the way of running, these people actually started to fall from their bodies. Some dark graves actually began to flow out of the body. Some people even had King Wen flowing from their mouths, noses, ears, and even eye sockets. But they themselves didn't realize it, and they kept running towards Han Guang and others. Running and running, only to find that his body began to melt and was wrapped in black grave soil. They struggled and instinctively wanted to escape. But no matter how hard you try, it's no use. Can only helplessly watch himself become a new deal. These people, in front of everyone's eyes, turned into a dozen brand new tombs in a short period of time. This is the ability of the ghost domain. Everyone's complexion changed, watching a group of people turn into tombs in front of their eyes, always feeling creepy. However, the expression on Shui Qian's face became solemn. "No, it's even more terrifying than when I came here before." Suddenly, Pang Ling, who was beside him, said. More than that, have you forgotten that when you were in Fengmen village, those villagers? Qin Long's expression changed after hearing this. You mean, they came out? The voice just fell. With a click, a tomb suddenly cracked open, and a palm protruded from one of them. Afterwards, a corpse that was a little stiff and cold like a zombie crawled out of it. At this moment, they all stared at everyone with their only white eyes. Come on, this is a ghost slave, we can't be entangled here. Han Guang's low words sounded, and a few ghost fires floated directly out and fell on the ghost slaves. Puff! Those ghost slaves have turned into a burning flame, but even so, they are still moving towards everyone. Because, in their bodies, there is no flesh and blood, only the grave soil that keeps falling. Just as everyone disappeared into the haze, a huge shadow seemed to continue to extend along the haze. If the influence of smog can be removed, it can be seen that it seems to be the shadow of a tree. Has it been a few hours? Chen Xuan stood on the steps and looked at the stairs that were still deep, shrouded in darkness, with no end in sight. It was now clear to him that he was trapped in this ghost staircase. But couldn't find a solution. The reason is very simple, that is, he can't see the body of the ghost staircase. Logically, there may be only one section of the stairs with problems, but if you stand outside the stairs, you may be able to see the minister at a glance. But now, Chen Xuan is standing on the stairs, which is equivalent to falling into a hallucination. Just like not knowing the true face of Mount Lu, only because of being in this mountain. He knew the reason, but couldn't find a solution. His ghost cane can cast the same illusion, but there is no way to decipher or see through the illusion. Chen Xuan now knows that this is his shortcoming. Beside him, he summoned the ghost doll, but the opponent's suppression must be staring at the ghost itself. If he can't find the ghost, there is definitely no way to suppress it. Everything seems to be stuck in an endless loop. Of course, there is another point. Chen Xuan can also use other ghosts to forcibly leave here through induction. For example, the ghost recorder. But in this way, he left here directly, and there was no way to solve the problem here. Now that he's here, Chen Xuan naturally doesn't want to allow such a situation to occur in his back garden. Even if it can't be solved, it's better to find out the reason. 2 more hours at most. If it doesn't work, I'll just leave. Chen Xuan thought about it and made a direct decision. Da. His footsteps were once again walking on the endless stairs. This is not a simple walk, but a search for the possible location of the specter. However, this specter seems to be naturally good at creating hallucinations, so even after 2 hours, Chen Xuan still has no gain. Just when he had made up his mind to leave here, suddenly my heart moved. By the way, I think it's time for the weekly signing. Chen Xuan muttered to himself, wondering if he should give it a try. So, subconsciously choose to sign in directly here. Ding! Sign in successfully. Congratulations to the host for getting the reward. Spectre Puzzle, S-Class Spectre Ghost Eyes. Close black lens bracket. Ghost eyes. As a magician, it is important to do magic, but it is more important to have a pair of eyes that are good at discovering. It is precisely because these eyes have seen something that has never been seen before, so that it is not just it looks so simple. Through it, you can control everything. What? Ghost eyes? Chen Xuan was stunned for a moment, but he didn't expect that his weekly sign would actually get a piece of the spectre puzzle, and he was still an S-rank spectre. However, before he could recover from his doubts, he only felt a pain in his eyes, and subconsciously made him close it tightly. As if there were 2 foreign eyeballs, they forcibly squeezed into Chen Xuan's eye sockets and roughly replaced his eyes. And at the moment when Chen Xuan's eyes were replaced, an unprecedented experience came from him. Swish! Chen Xuan abruptly opened his eyes, and the originally dark eyes were now full of rich gold. That's right, nothing weird, not even gloomy looking. On the contrary, there is a kind of sacredness that people can't see directly. The golden eyes began to bloom with a faint golden light, and the whole body was completely dyed with a faint golden light. At this moment, a layer of enlightenment suddenly rose in Chen Xuan's heart. He has been chasing for a long time, and finally it is complete. So I'm not a gentleman, but a magician. After completing all the jigsaw puzzles, Chen Xuan finally understood the true meaning of the jigsaw puzzles. Or rather, the real name of his suit should be called Ghost Magician. The mask covers the expression, so that the world can't see the joy and anger. The hat holds a world, which can be a rabbit that a magician needs, or a white dove. Of course, it is more likely to be a ghost. The ghost windbreaker looks very normal on the surface, but in fact it blocks all eyes from the outside, and cannot see the true mystery of the magician. And that ghost stick is the magic wand used by magicians to perform magic, and has the ability to control all abilities. This is also completely in line with the setting of the ghost cane's own ability. Ghost gloves make the magician's hands become extremely flexible and can complete subtle movements to confuse the audience. Finally, as a magician, you should have a pair of eyes that see through everything. Only in this way can we be called a real magician. Ghost hat, ghost mask, ghost windbreaker, ghost cane, ghost gloves, ghost eyes. A full 6 ghost puzzles add up to constitute a complete ghost magician. At the same time, Chen Xuan can feel that the complete picture of the ghosts not only let him know the true meaning of ghost magicians. What surprised him even more was that the abilities of all the original puzzles had been enhanced even more. In other words, it was originally only an A-rank monster, but now its role can reach S rank. The ghost eyes that were originally S rank can even surpass the power of the S rank itself and become stronger. In addition, a complete suit must have suit attributes. And the attribute of the ghost magician is the domain. Illusory ghost realm. True and false, false is true, false is true, true is false. Chen Xuan murmured softly in his mouth, and gently revealed the true power possessed by ghost magicians. This time, he suddenly opened his eyes, and a pair of eyes completely covered with gold emerged from them. As the rays of light flowed, everything around seemed to be completely disguised in Chen Xuan's eyes. Completely revealed. Hee. So it is. Chen Xuan chuckled, and only then did he realize that the originally long staircase had disappeared. And himself, from the beginning to the end, stepped on the first step from the first floor to the second floor. From start to finish, he didn't walk at all. However, Li Gui's ability affected Chen Xuan, causing him to have a change in his 5 senses. This specter's ability is very unusual, it is all-round deception, and all 5 senses are affected. Otherwise, Chen Xuan wouldn't be able to see through. Well now, his eyes have completely turned into ghost eyes, and they are not ordinary ghost eyes, which can see through everything. Chen Xuan looked at the steps under his feet and found that this step was completely different from the other colors. As if there was blood infiltrating it, it looked extremely red. Does it seem to be the problem with this step? Chen Xuan whispered to himself, I didn't expect this old house to be interesting, and this kind of problem appeared as soon as I entered the door. This is only the steps of the first floor, there are 3 floors above, I don't know what kind of strange events will occur. Just when Chen Xuan was puzzled, suddenly countless blood seeped down from the steps. This kind of feeling, just like Chen Xuan was in a fantasy before, once he stopped, he would encounter this kind of problem. It was as if a voice was telling him to rest, sit down, rest forever. Only now did Chen Xuan know that it was the blood that had permeated above the steps. This blood has a strange power, as if it can affect people's minds. Blood, I just like it, Chen Xuan whispered to himself, subconsciously using his blood river ghost domain. Wow, the blood that flowed was actually absorbed directly under his feet. Not absorbed by his body, but absorbed by the entire blood river ghost territory. Goo, the blood is constantly flowing, and the civic is constantly absorbing. But that blood itself belongs to Spectre's ability, only instinct, not consciousness. It only knows that it is constantly released to affect the living. As long as they stay for too long, they will be completely swallowed up by ghost blood and become part of the entire stairs. At that time, the illusion ability of the steps will be even stronger. However, who would have thought that these unceasingly flowing ghost blood would encounter an existence that could drink blood better than it? After drinking it one after another, the color of the entire step began to gradually fade. I don't know how long it took, until the color was only a little redder than the other steps, and I couldn't even see it without looking closely. The blood actually stopped flowing and no longer overflowed. It's not that Li Gui was swallowed up by Chen Xuan, but Li Gui's ability has been weakened to an extreme position. So much so that the ghostly influence it can now produce is already very weak. In other words, even if an ordinary person walked in now, he would not fall into any illusion. It's just a staircase, what will the second and third floors be? Chen Xuan muttered to himself, and then walked upstairs. This time, with golden ghost eyes, he did not see a new illusion appear, and successfully came to the second floor. However, before he could reach out and open the doors of the 2 rooms, he suddenly frowned. How did this girl go? Chen Xuan frowned. He found that after he perfected the Ligui jigsaw puzzle, his abilities seemed to be enhanced. Before, even if he carefully sensed it, he could not accurately sense the position of the ghost head rope. But just subconsciously, he sensed the position of the ghost head rope and found that the ghost head rope was actually moving. Is this girl okay? Before Chen Xuan left, he hadn't heard of Chen Ruaoking's recovery. Is it possible to move now? With doubts, he subconsciously stopped to continue exploring, turned his head downstairs, and left the old house. Standing at the door of the old house, Chen Xuan looked in the direction of Shiadu, reached out and took out a mobile phone from his pocket. This is the phone number Chen Xuan got from Ghost Rider's headquarters, and put it in his hands when he was dealing with the Nightmare Street incident. When he came back, no one took it back. In fact, Chen Xuan also knew that the other party left it for him on purpose, in order to be able to contact him when he needed it. It happened that I could use this phone to dial Chen Ruaoking's number and get in touch to see if she really recovered. There are other problems. Doo-doo. Chen Xuan's phone number went through and was quickly connected. But it was just a busy tone, and no one responded. Chen Xuan frowned suddenly, feeling that things seemed to be trending in a bad direction. While he was waiting, suddenly, the phone was connected at the last second. Hey, who is it? The voice that came from the phone was indeed Chen Ruaoking's. It just makes Chen Xuan a little puzzled that the other party's breath seems to be a little disordered. Moreover, it seems to be running. What happened? Chen Xuan's voice through the ghost mask is uniquely eerie and hoarse, like a demon walking in hell. But Chen Ruaoking, who heard this voice, suddenly stopped. My heart jumped wildly. Mr. Gentleman, it's me. Chen Xuan nodded. Are you recovering? And exercising? Yes. Chen Ruaoking nodded and said as she ran, I have indeed recovered, but I am not exercising, but fleeing for my life. Why? Escape. Chen Xuan's pupils shrank, his tone suddenly gloomy. What's going on? An S-level supernatural incident occurred in Shiadu, and the supernatural incident you dealt with in Fengmen village was very similar to this one. Moreover, this time the scope is much larger than Fengmen village, and we are now trapped in the ghost realm. What's even more frightening is that the ghost tree that was solved by Mr. Gentleman actually came back to life. Quote. Resurrection. Chen Xuan's eyes flashed with surprise. What's the specific situation? Chen Ruo ran frantically and shouted, as long as all living people inhale the smog, they will become graves, and tree roots will grow out of the graves. These roots are now densely covered in at least 1/3 of the northeastern part of Shiadu, and the number of casualties is rising at an extremely high number. Quote. I and a few captain-level ghost riders have been separated, and we are trying to find a way to escape from the ghost realm. Chen Xuan didn't get too nervous when he heard this, but said it calmly. Remember, what I'm saying now is very important, about whether you will survive or not. Live until I rush past. First, the ghost tree in Fengmen village was not destroyed last time. What we destroyed was just an existence similar to a clone or a ghost slave. Second, the tomb behind the ghost tree is not the same kind of ghostly ability, but 2 completely different specter abilities. Third, the smog should be the medium we brought back last time, and it only spread to the entire summer capital. Fourth, those tree roots are just illusions, not real. Fifth, if you want to survive, you must find the location of the ghost tree and rush towards the ghost tree, instead of running away. The abilities of the 2 specter do not seem to affect each other, but if they really collide, they will suppress each other. So, the most dangerous place, the safest. Quote. Chen Xuan spoke very fast, and directly told Chen Ruaoking all the information he got last time. He had suspected that there was something wrong with the ghost tree before, but he did not expect that it would affect the entire Shiadu so quickly. Good, I know, gentlemen. Chen Ruaoking said quickly. Okay, then hang up and I'll rush over immediately. Chen Xuan was about to hang up, but Chen Ruaoking suddenly stopped. And many more. Anything else? Mr. Gentleman, do you remember to owe me an answer? Quote. Well, I'll tell you when we meet. Chen Xuan knew that Chen Ruoqing was talking about his identity, and it seemed that this girl, Su Xing, had become a little smarter than before. But this is nothing. Originally Chen Ruoqing was not strong enough, and Chen Xuan didn't plan to tell her the truth. Now, she has mastered the 3 ghosts such as ghost scissors and ghost hair, and she has special changes. Tell her it's not a big problem. The reason why Chen Ruoqing didn't say it directly on the phone was because she guessed that Chen Xuan might not want to reveal her true identity. And the phone of the Ghost Rider headquarters contains a recording device. If you say too much, you may be suspected. She guessed it could, but she didn't want to spoil the big brother's plans. Now, the only thing missing is that Chen Xuan can stand in front of her and tell her something in front of her. I am a gentleman. Chen Xuan hung up the phone and looked in the direction of Shiadu. Chen Ruoqing's position began to be sensed in his mind, and at the same time, he began to mobilize the ability of ghost shoes. Girl, wait for me, I'll go over now. While whispering to himself, Chen Xuan subconsciously activated Ghost Shoes 5. However, at this moment, his complexion suddenly changed. The red headband has disappeared. How is this possible? Chen Xuan was completely surprised this time. The red headband itself was a supernatural thing he got from the system. This has never been the case. And it was fine just now. How could the breath suddenly disappear? Could it be that something happened to your sister? Impossible. Chen Xuan shook his head. Even if there was an accident, the scent of the red headband would not disappear directly. Then the only explanation is that the other party must have encountered some kind of situation, which blocked his sense of the ghost head rope. The only thing that can cause this situation is something similar to Ghost Street or Ghost River. Judging from the current situation, it is very likely that something has changed in the ghost realm in Shiadu, so that a ghost realm similar to the Ghost Street has been created. Without the breath of the ghost head rope, Chen Xuan could not directly appear beside the opponent with his ghost shoes ability. Because ghost shoes want to appear directly in front of each other, there must be a medium. Before Chen Xuan completely relied on his own sense of the ghost head rope, he defined this sense as a medium, and then used ghost shoes to appear in front of the other party. It is equivalent to using 3 specter abilities to do all this. Now in 3.3, the disappearance of one kind of ghost head rope means that the other 2 abilities cannot be realized. No way, Chen Xuan had to go back by himself. Don't worry, I'll be back soon. Thinking to himself, Chen Xuan's footsteps moved. Da. His figure disappeared at once, and when he reappeared, he was already in the villa area of Deu Villa. Mr. Chen, it took you so long to come back. Zhu Pengcheng had been waiting at the villa, and when he saw Chen Xuan appeared, he hurriedly greeted him. Block the old house and don't let anyone approach it for the time being. I have something to do. I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, Mr. Chen. Seeing Chen Xuan's weird outfit, Zhu Pengcheng actually felt a sense of trepidation. But he still said quickly, Mr. Chen, where are you going? Would you like to send a car? No need. Chen Xuan took a few steps and suddenly stopped. By the way, Mr. Zhu, if you have any close people in Shiadu who can come out, let them come out immediately. If it's over, I'm afraid I'll never get out. After he finished speaking, he didn't wait for Zhu Pengcheng to react. He moved his footsteps and disappeared out of thin air. Remarks. Ghost Shoes ability. Long distance travel requires a target. Short distance because the footsteps can spread, you can move quickly. In fact, just as Chen Xuan guessed, just as he hung up the phone, Chen Ruoqing saw that the entire sheltered ghost realm had undergone drastic changes. Wow, I don't know if it's an illusion, but the gloomy haze in the sky has become thick and abnormal at this moment. Numerous tombs scattered in the northeastern part of Shiadu seemed to be pulled. A large number of graves began to gather towards the sky, as if a cover was formed. No, to be precise, this is a huge tomb. And everyone in the northeast area of Shiadu was shrouded in this tomb. A huge tomb that can cover the entire area, just thinking about it makes one's scalp tingle. And all the people in the tomb, all communications at this moment are all covered up by the tomb. Moreover, this tomb actually began to expand at a speed visible to the naked eye, expanding, and rapidly expanding towards other areas. Hello, Mr. Gentleman. When Chen Ruoqing heard the busy tone on the phone suddenly, she felt that something was wrong. Boom. A strip of tree roots rose directly from the ground and swept towards her. Hateful! Chen Ruo shouted angrily, and a large number of ghost hairs began to appear directly from the top of his head, densely packed like the tails of a nine-tailed fox, slamming towards the surrounding tree roots. Swish! Countless ghost hairs, which were much stronger than before, began to rush through densely. Almost all tree roots were directly interrupted at the moment of touching. If Zhang Qing and others were by her side, they would definitely find that the current Chen Ruoking was simply stronger than before. Chen Ruoking. The roots of the tree were emptied, and several figures flickered nearby. They knew before that Chen Ruoking had just taken control of the three specter ghosts, and his strength had increased, but they didn't expect to be so strong now. What do we do now? Zhou Yun, codenamed Ghost Tattoo, asked subconsciously. On his arm, strips of black tattoos continued to extend, and there was a rotten and smelly palm sticking out, and all the roots he touched would wither. I don't know either, but judging from the information I got before. Chen Ruoking quickly retreated, dodging these dense tree roots. We must have someone who can suppress the power of this tree root and rush to the deepest part of the tree shadow to find the body of the ghost tree. A plan flashed in Chen Ruoking's eyes, and looked at his ghost scissors. I can use ghost scissors to directly result in the ghost tree. At that time, there will be only one ghost grave left, which will be easy to deal with. Okay, let's do it like this, we're going to rush in, and I'll help you open the way. Zhou Yun said. No, you alone can't solve so many trees, you have to suppress the illusion. Chen Ruoking looked at these tree roots that could never be destroyed no matter how they were destroyed, and couldn't help but say. Then you can only join others. It is estimated that only Captain Han Guang's Ghost Fire and Ghost Domain can resist these. Zhou Yun quickly found a way. Yes, I know the direction of Captain Han and our separation, and I should be able to find him. Beside him, a young man with 4 ears suddenly said. His code name is Ghost Ear, and he can hear the voice of Spectre. Okay, then let's meet the Korean team first, and then find a way to enter it. Chen Ruo nodded lightly and put the ghost ears behind him. Now that he wants to join up with other teammates, he must use his help. Soon, with the help of ghost ears, everyone found their lost teammates. There are tuberculosis ghost Shui Qian, ghost smoke Peng Ling, ghost knife Qin Long, and the strongest ghost fire Han Guang. In addition, the remaining 5 squads, only about 2 squads exist. The others have long since disappeared. Possibly killed. Team Han, the plan is like this, if we want to solve it, we must rush to the ghost tree. Chen Ruoking said. Han Guang nodded, your ghost scissors can really damage the ghost tree, but can you withstand this kind of backlash? He didn't care about Chen Ruoking's safety, but once Chen Ruoking couldn't bear the cost of using the scissors. Either the power of the ghost scissors will not be exerted, or the ghost will revive by itself. At that time, the crisis for everyone will be even more terrifying than it is now. Chen Ruo nodded lightly, I can withstand the power of ghost scissors once. With my current physique, at most twice, I will die. She can feel the state of her body and make predictions. Okay, there is only one chance, so I have to give it a try. Han Guang nodded, now there is no way to contact the outside world. As long as we can limit the ghost tree, even if there is a gap in the ghost realm, we can ask for help from the outside. Ask for help. Everyone's complexion changed. This situation is already in, who can solve it when asking for help? Yes, we don't expect to be able to completely solve this S-level supernatural incident now. Han Guang said coldly, we can save our lives and pass on the information. Only by letting the outside world know about the situation, can someone who can solve this supernatural incident appear. Quote, Team Korea, we already have so many elites here, and ghost riders from other places can't be recruited for the time being. And who else can resist in Shiadu? S-level ghost rider, Song Tianong. Han Guangdao. What? S-class ghost rider? Everyone suddenly thought of a possibility. In the entire Shiadu, among the ghost rider headquarters, legend has it that there is an S-rank ghost rider sitting here. Known as Song Lao. This old song is mysterious and powerful, and seems to have survived for decades. Even among the ghost riders, they doubted whether he was already dead. When will Elder Song arrive? Someone has doubts. As long as our message is passed on, they will know about our situation, and they will be able to send someone out at that time. Han Guangdao. So, this time, we only need to get close enough to Chen Ruoking to cast it, and that's it. Hearing what he said, everyone's hearts were slightly relieved, and they didn't have to take risks. If the distance is far, maybe the probability of surviving is higher. If that's the case, let's go. The crowd began to act, found 2 cars that were no longer empty along the block, and drove directly towards the center of the Northeast District. The reason for driving is because the Ghost Rider's physical fitness is not excellent, and if he uses the ghost power for a long time, it will have a huge impact on the body. Might as well drive faster. Han Guang took Chen Ruoking, Shui Qian, and others to sit on the first off-road vehicle, while others sat on top of the second SUV. After galloping all the way, the illusion formed by countless tree roots began to attack the vehicle. Brake. Han Guang snorted coldly, and the fire like a spark drifted towards the surroundings, directly burning all the roots of the tree. Not only that, the void after the burning of Mars seems to have become clear, and even the content of smog has begun to decrease. This is Han Guang's ghost realm, and he begins to suppress the opposite side. Of course, the range of this suppression is very small, only a few meters around the vehicle. No matter how far it is, or if it consumes too much of itself, it is very likely that the ghost will recover. The speed of the off-road vehicle is very fast, and it has traveled nearly 30 kilometers without knowing it. Finally, they were less than 10 kilometers away from the ghost tree. He also completely saw the appearance of the ghost tree. Is this a ghost tree? Shui Qian couldn't help being surprised when he looked at the appearance of this ghost tree. The ghost tree in front of me was 100 meters high and had lush foliage, but all the trunks, branches, and even leaves were actually black. Moreover, under the majestic cloud-like canopy, there are one after another hanging fruit-like corpses. Like a corpse that fell on top of each other upside down. Densely packed, at least more than tens of thousands. Not only that, but there are also fruits that are constantly forming from the straight jump. Like fishing cocoons. Where is this ghost tree? It's simply a dead tree. Pang Ling next to her brows solemnly. It seems that all the dead deceased have become the fruit of this dead tree. As the gentleman said before, Fengmen village is indeed not the body of the ghost tree, this is the body. Shui Qian felt a chill in his heart. At the level of the ghost tree before, they were almost wiped out, can they really resist now? The only hope is the ghost scissors in Chen Ruoking's hands. As the crowd approached, there were more and more tree roots around. Without saying a word, Han Guang began to manipulate his own ghost fire, completely disintegrating all the illusions of tree roots. This time, everyone is getting closer and closer to the body of the dead tree. Arrive. Suddenly, Chen Ruoking, who had never spoken, suddenly opened her eyes. I feel that the perimeter scissors can come into play here. She made a visual inspection and found that the tree trunk, which was as thick as a house, was at least 1,000 meters away. But enough is enough. The other party's goal was too big, and it just gave her a chance. Okay, get out of the car and protect Chen Ruoking. Han Guang's voice also sounded, and immediately, the few remaining ghost riders also got off. Standing around Chen Ruoking. Chen Ruoking, what price do you need to use these ghost scissors? Pang Ling stood beside Chen Ruoking and couldn't help asking. It's flesh and blood. Chen Ruoking said directly, I can feel that it is eager to devour my flesh and blood, but my physique is special, so it shouldn't be too serious. Then be careful. Pang Ling glanced at her and warned. The crowd dispersed, and Han Guang, the ghost fire, completely enveloped her in the ghost domain. All tree roots seemed to be excluded at this moment, because the ghost fire can be completely suppressed. Chen Ruoking's hair was flying, his expression was indifferent, and his face was as pale as white paper. At the same time, the ghost scissors in her hand appeared out of thin air. Suddenly, a heart-pounding fluctuation emerged. Seeing this ghost scissors, even all the ghost riders around couldn't help shrinking their pupils. I felt a life and death crisis. This thing is so scary, I really don't know how she manages it. While the ghost riders scattered in the distance were on guard, they couldn't help but look surprised. It's really hard to control, but it's even harder to be able to bring it out of Elm Street. I don't know how that gentleman did it at that time. Yeah, unfortunately, that gentleman is not here, otherwise, I'm afraid our crisis will be gone. No way, after all, he is not from our Ghost Rider headquarters, and it is impossible to appear at any time. I just hope this ghost scissors can be useful. While everyone was talking, Chen Ruaoking's drooping arm slowly lifted, and as it was lifted, everyone clearly felt that Chen Ruaoking's state had changed. Her face turned pale, as if she had been sucked out of blood. If you look closely, you will find the arm holding the ghost scissors. At the beginning of the palm, it has begun to slowly become dry, as if it was forcibly deprived of flesh and blood. If Chen Xuan was here, he would be able to understand why the Ghost City officials wanted to capture the ghost chef's flesh and blood. It turned out to be easier to control the ghost scissors. And the ghost scissors are actually not owned by the Ghost City officials at all. It's just that it was forcibly left on it, in order to suppress its problems. And now, the price of using this ghost scissors is incomparably huge. Ka ka ka. Chen Ruaoking's wrists were already dry, like dry bones, and then spread upwards, elbows, arms, and even shoulders. Seeing that, she was about to move towards her chest, and suddenly, her body seemed to have something abnormal. Actually began to resist this power. In other words, the surrounding scissors could not continue to absorb the flesh from her body. However, the other party has to act according to Chen Ruaoking's will. The arm is raised to become horizontal, and then the ghost scissors are opened. At this moment, Chen Ruaoking's eyes were full of persistence and indifference, but his raised arms did not tremble at all. Soon, it was cut towards the dead tree. Click. When this knife goes down, it seems to cut the air all at once. Of course, this is an illusion, because at this time the rules of the ghost scissors have shrouded the huge dead tree. Kaka. This knife went down, and the entire tree of the dead indeed began to crack. On the tree trunk that was as thick as a house, an obvious crack began to emerge. At the same time, the huge tree shadow that enveloped the entire northeastern district of Shiadu unexpectedly opened a gap uncontrollably. Excellent, effective, contact the headquarters. Han Guang suddenly let out a low drink and opened his ghost realm to the maximum extent. Shui Qian, who had been prepared for a long time, dialed his phone without hesitation. Beep. With just one ring, the phone was connected directly. Obviously, there has been no contact for such a long time, and the headquarters of the Ghost Rider is also very anxious. Team Shui, what's the situation on your side? The liaison officer said in a hurried tone. Quick, tell Minister Liu, this is an S-level supernatural event, and there are two ghosts comparable to S-level, one is a ghost tree, and now there are many cocoons of dead people hanging on it, as if they are breeding something. The other is the ghost grave, which is so huge that it directly blocks our signal. Tell Minister Liu, S-Class, only S-Class can solve this. Okay, I've located your location, this will work. Team Shui, hey, the liaison officer shouted anxiously. In exchange, there was a busy tone. On the other side, Shui Qian looked at the huge dead tree trunk that seemed to have been cut open in shock. This ghost scissors actually split most of the entire tree trunk. Seeing that, when it was about to be completely split, he suddenly discovered that a strange door had appeared inside the trunk. The door banged and opened directly. Suddenly, all the rules seemed to be swallowed by the gate. And the tree of the dead, which was about to be broken, actually healed directly at this time. Countless smogs seemed to be waiting for this moment's opportunity, and suddenly fell from the sky like a torrential rain. Everyone only saw the black haze like a waterfall falling down. In the end, before everyone could react, there was no movement at all. Do not run away. Trap, it's a trap. At the moment when the crowd exclaimed, all the signals were instantly interrupted. What? 2 S-class ghosts. Lu Pingchuan listened to the liaison officer's report with a livid face. Quick, inform everyone to continue to expand the blockade of the Northeast District and relocate the survivors. I'm going to invite Song Lao to come out. Quote, Ghost Rider Headquarters, Southeast District, Branch. This is said to be the headquarters of the Ghost Riders, but in fact it has become a concentration of dangers. Why? Because the supernatural objects stored here are very terrifying. From the gate of the entire branch to the elevator, the whole body is doped with gold structure. The cost is simply immeasurable. Even so, the Ghost Rider headquarters seems to feel that it is not safe enough, but has repaired 10 underground floors. The further down you go, the more dangerous the ghosts are. Of course, there are still some ghosts who are imprisoned here. In such a place, no one is willing to come even if the ghost masters are usually here. Only patrol guards like death squads patrol the entire branch in 3 shifts a day. This branch is an ordinary commercial building on the surface, and there are continuous buildings around it. In fact, these buildings are all owned by the Shah Kingdom, and all kinds of army staff are stationed in them, just to deal with the emergencies that may occur here. Of course, there are other Ghost Riders peeping. But now, a special off-road vehicle came swiftly from a distance, with a green light all the way. All the levels were not intercepted in the slightest, all the way square. The car stopped directly at the gate on the first floor. Lu Pingchuan walked out of it quickly, and walked in directly towards the gate. Minister Lu. In the gate, seeing Lu Pingchuan appear, many people saluted. Lu Pingchuan just nodded and walked directly into the elevator. The elevator started and soon came to the deepest part of the entire branch, the 10th underground floor. That's right, this is the most dangerous place in the entire branch. Usually, no one wants to come in except for patrolling. It seems that just staying here can drive one crazy. But, now Lu Pingchuan didn't even wear any protective equipment, and went directly to the 10th floor. Minister Lu, I'll give you protective clothing. An assistant next to him said. No need, time is running out, we can't afford to delay. Lu Pingchuan waved his hand to refuse, and went straight to a room facing the deepest part of the elevator. Put your finger on it, and perform fingerprint recognition and iris scan directly. Then, after hearing the sound of identity confirmation, the door just opened. The people who followed closely behind them couldn't help but their faces changed when they saw the scene inside, and their hearts jumped. Because, in the room, there was actually a huge golden coffin. That's right, the coffin made of pure gold was quietly placed in the center of the entire room, just like a mourning hall. Many people entered this room for the first time, and the shock in their eyes could not be concealed. But Lu Pingchuan looked as usual at the moment, standing in front of the golden coffin, nodding slightly. Song Lao, Shah are in trouble, please help. His voice was not high, even with some humility. As if talking to an elder, no, even more careful than facing an elder. As a result, his voice fell, and everyone did not hear the slightest response, and the entire mourning hall actually fell silent like this. And Lu Pingchuan still kept his bent over and waited quietly. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes passed. Just when everyone thought that the other party would not respond at all, suddenly, the incomparably thick coffin lid was moved up. Kaka. The sound of the metal rubbing against the coffin made everyone's pupils shrink, and they looked at the coffin in surprise. Swish. A gloomy and extremely cold wind blew out from the inside. It was as if the temperature of the dog days suddenly encountered the icy cold of the 3 or 9 days, which made people shiver subconsciously. So cold. Who can be locked in a coffin at such a temperature? Who else could open the lid of the coffin from the inside in this state? Everyone was surprised, puzzled, and stared at the coffin lid that started to move. Kaka. Boom. With a loud noise, the coffin lid lost its balance and rolled directly to the ground, causing a loud noise throughout the room. But this loud noise did not distract everyone, but looked at Huang Jin's coffin in unison. A dry, corpse-like palm was held in the air, and then, it began to hold the edge of the coffin, and a force began to pull something. Gradually, an old man dressed in a blue shroud sat up like an old man who had been dead for an unknown number of years. What kind of old man is this? He was skinny and his face was covered with large senile plaques, looking like a 100-year-old antique. A pair of eyes are extremely cloudy. If the surrounding environment is not too strange, everyone thinks that this is an ancient old man who is struggling to walk. In the thin eye sockets, the turbid eyes gradually return to focus. Only in this way can we judge that he is a person, rather than a corpse. Xiao Lu, what danger, let you wake me up. The hoarse voice that did not sound like a living person resounded, causing everyone to shudder. This old man was outrageously high, and he actually called Minister Lu Xiao Lu. Song Lao, Shiadu encountered an S-rank supernatural event, and 2 S-rank ghosts appeared together. The captain level and other powerhouses we dispatched have been trapped in it, and you need to take action to solve this matter. The situation is critical, and I also ask Song Lao not to refuse. Quote. Even at this juncture, Lu Pingchuan still did not make an imperative request, but a request. This shows the status of this old man. Of course, if in the entire spiritual circle, there are 10 people in the record file in the world, Buko is already among the 11S ranked ghost riders. This Song Lao is one of them, code name, Ghost. Is it another S-class supernatural event? The old man's eyes showed reminiscence, and he couldn't help but whisper to himself, I remember, it must have been a long time since the last time I dealt with the haunted house. How old is Xiaolu now? He asked suddenly. Song Lao, 25 years. Lu Pingchuan rode. 15 years. Song Lao nodded. Well, I don't know how many times my old bones can move. In that case, I'll go and see. Thank you Song Lao. Lu Pingchuan hurriedly bowed, and everyone behind him also saluted. Thank you Song Lao. Their voices fell, and when they looked up again, they suddenly froze. Because, in the golden coffin, Song Lao's figure disappeared strangely. Here, let's go. Song Lao, codenamed Ghost Shadow, is really scary. This time, with his old man's action, he will definitely be able to solve the S-level supernatural incident. While everyone was talking, an old man wearing a blue shroud and holding a cane appeared so strangely outside the main entrance of the building. The shadow behind him was strangely elongated at the moment, extending out at an angle that violated the laws of physics, and actually merged directly with the shadow of the building. And Song Lao looked at the distance and couldn't help but chuckle softly. After so many years, I didn't expect to be able to feel the handwriting of Shenyu technology. His voice has not dissipated, and the whole person disappeared in an instant. Only one lingering sound echoed in place. All right, since you're here, let me bury them here. Outside the northeastern district of Shiadu, everyone who was still working was suddenly notified. What is the situation? Said to be an emergency shelter, let's leave quickly. Yeah, I don't even let me clean up the things, I'm almost finished with my hard-earned explosion. Hey, Xiao Li, are you going? The above request is to evacuate immediately. If you don't go, you can go first. If I don't finish it, this month's bonus will be lost. Okay, then I'll go first. Crackling. Outside the northeast area of Shiadu, on a skyscraper within a range of nearly 10 kilometers, Xiao Li still has no plans to leave. He stared at the laptop in front of him, he had headphones in his ears, and the explosive DJ music made him get carried away. Hee, isn't the above news just alarmist? A disdainful smile appeared in Xiao Li's mouth. What else can happen in this place in Shiadu? Earthquake, it won't come, it doesn't matter if it rains. Volcanic eruptions are even more unpredictable. It's just windy at most. Does this require evacuation? Just as he was complaining in his heart, he suddenly felt that the light in front of him seemed to be a little dark. Is it getting dark so soon? Isn't it only 1 o'clock in the afternoon? With doubts, Xiao Li raised his head subconsciously and looked out through the glass window on the 36th floor of the top floor of the skyscraper. In an instant, Xiao Li was stunned. My God, what is this? With shock in his eyes, he slowly stood up from his seat. In the distance, a pitch-black, cloud-like haze spread wildly in the distance like the 103 substance. This speed is even more terrifying than the moving speed of a tornado. In the smog, a huge tree shadow can be seen faintly. Shadow of a tree. That's right, it is a huge tree like a banyan tree, and its shadow begins to extend continuously in the tomb, as if it will completely cover the entire summer. FK, what the hell is this? Isn't it the end of the world? Xiao Li scolded angrily, suddenly got up from his seat in a panic, and hurriedly ran towards the door in the distance. Only now did he know that the immediate evacuation requested above must have something to do with the huge shadow in front of him. Although he didn't know what the relationship was, he instinctively felt a sense of fear and panic. Bang bang bang. He ran quickly, walked through the corridor, reached out and pressed the elevator button several times. Quick, quick. Xiao Li felt pain in his fingers due to excessive force, but he didn't feel it, and still pressed desperately. Ding. Finally, the elevator door finally opened at this time. He quickly stepped into the elevator and pressed down to the first floor. At the moment when the elevator door closed, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. Finally safe. However, his voice fell, and the shadow formed by the billowing wind directly shrouded the building where he was. Swish! In an instant, all the smog seemed to pass through the material, and actually appeared in the running elevator out of thin air. What is this? Xiao Li exclaimed and hurriedly pressed the button on the nearby floors, trying to escape. Ding! On the 25th floor, the elevator door opened. However, in the elevator that opened the door, Xiao Li did not appear. Instead, there was indeed a solitary grave that had already filled the entire elevator. Xiao Li is just a small microcosm of the engulfed ghost realm when it expands. At the same time, the same scene is being staged in many surrounding places where human activities are taking place. Panic, screaming, struggling, running away. How many people started to panic, desperately trying to escape the entire Shiadu. Even the areas that have not yet been affected have begun to flee frantically. They don't know what it is, but they know that a shadow that is enough to become the end of the world is rapidly rising. Among the many fleeing figures, a shadow suddenly stretched, as if it had been lifted up from the ground. The next moment, it directly turned into a thin old man wearing a shroud. This old man is none other than the S-rank Ghost Master, Ghost Shadow Song Lao. Have the powers of the dead tree and the ghost grave combined. Song Lao leaned on crutches and walked step by step towards the center of the ghost realm. Every time he took a step, the shadow behind him seemed to start to lengthen infinitely, and it continued to extend into the distance. It only took a minute or two for him to get here. When Song Lao stopped, as far as he could see, he could already see a huge dead tree in the distance. Above the dead tree, under the countless branches, there are countless fruits that are densely packed. And under the tree trunk, a huge ghost grave like a hill is constantly rising. That feeling is like the tree of the dead grows on the ghost grave, and the ghost grave directly offers it. Shenyu technology has always liked to try to forcibly combine different opinions into one container, and it is the same this time. Song Lao looked at the big tree and tapped lightly on the ground with his cane. In an instant, the shadow under his feet began to grow and expand, as if it began to reversely invade the ghost realm of the opposite AIBG side. That's right, whether it's the dead tree or the ghost grave, there are cases where shadows are used as a medium. Coincidentally, the sleepy person is also good at manipulating the shadow maniac. He is now beginning to use the shadow to invade the other party's ghost domain. Swish! Song Lao's shadow spread faster than the ghost grave, but he did not expand around, but directly shrouded in the direction of the tree of the dead. Boom! With a loud noise, the ground cracked, and countless tree roots began to emerge from the ground, completely engulfing Song Lao. However, Song Lao just stood there, his entire body seemed to be contained in the shadow, and all the attacks from the roots of the trees seemed to penetrate the shadow and did not cause any harm to him. And taking advantage of this time, Song Lao's shadow has already appeared in the direction of the canopy of the dead tree, and successfully enveloped a large piece of humanoid fruit. Clap clap, those shadows actually turned into sight, and all the silk threads connecting the fruits were completely cut off. The fruits that had lost their comfort fell to the ground one after another. And with the help of the ghost, it was cut directly. Cough cough, almost died. Shui Qian coughed heavily, and before he could even react, he ran wildly into the distance. Also appearing, there are Pang Ling, Qin Long, and even Guang. In addition, among the other fruits that appeared, there was only one corpse. This shadow is Elder Song. Seeing this scene, Han Guang's expression changed suddenly. Come on, meet with Song Lao. He forcibly opened his ghost realm, directly wrapped everyone in, and then disappeared directly from the place. When he reappeared, he was already beside Song Lao. Elder Song, I'm Han Guang, I'll replace Lu Guixi. Han Guang said in a deep voice. Well, are you the only ones alive? Song Lao glanced at Han Guang and asked. Yes, the rest are dead. Han Guang looked around for a week and said in a low voice. No, even Chen Ruaoqing is dead. Pang Ling suddenly exclaimed, I remember she was taken away too. It doesn't seem like she is dead. As soon as she finished speaking, Song Lao, who was beside her, suddenly let out a light sigh. This ghost tree. Before he could finish his words, he suddenly saw that the huge tree of dead people trembled, and then a voice that was obviously a woman's voice resounded from it. He, I can't wait for the person I want, but a dying old antique came. Looking at this method, it should be the S-level ghost rider codenamed Ghost Shadow, Song Lao. What? Dead Tree actually spoke. Everyone's expressions changed when they heard this voice, revealing an extremely shocked look. How is that possible? Isn't this an S-class ghost? How can you speak? And your own consciousness? Even Han Guang and the others were at the bottom of their hearts at this moment. But Song Lao, who was next to him, spoke in a low voice at the moment, and his voice could not tell whether he was happy or sad. Since you know the name of the old man, then stop the ghost realm quickly, otherwise, you will only end up being imprisoned. He, what a confident ghost. Originally I was going to give it to another person. Since you like it, I will give it to you first. The voice fell, and suddenly everyone saw that the canopy of the dead tree began to shake continuously. The next moment, thousands of cocoon-like fruits actually fell off from above. They shattered directly on the ground, and struggled to crawl out of terrifying, zombie-like figures. Let's see, what kind of experience is it to face thousands of ghosts at a time? Ha ha ha. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.